Hello, and welcome to Education Matters. I'm your host, Harry Jackson. Today we have a special episode. We will be coming from Dearborn, Michigan. Tonight with us joining us is Asra Nomani, co-founder of the Muslim Reform Movement. Our topic of discussion this evening will be the pushback that the community at Dearborn, Michigan is having against explicit material that they are finding in their library. What is an interesting aspect that we'll be sharing tonight is that most of this community is a community of color. Unlike Loudoun County or Fairfax counties, where it has been displayed in media mostly as portrayed as mostly white evangelicals. But before we get there, we're going to be going into Dearborn, Michigan. But first, let me introduce our guest, Asra Nomani. Asra, good evening.
It's quite a moment we're watching tonight from Dearborn, Michigan. Really happy to walk through this with our viewers because it's really important that we thread the needle.
Thank you, and thank you for joining us. All right, so let's see if we can go into Dearborn, Michigan. They had a previous school board meeting on Monday that was closed prematurely due to protest from the citizens, and they decided to restart today, starting with citizen participation. All right, so Asra and I will be providing commentary on the feedback from the school board meeting live. All right, let's see what we can hear. We have the feed. We're going to you live to the school board in progress.
Okay, give me just 1 second, guys.
Sure.
I have it here. Why don't we do a real quick introduction for Asra, so our audience is familiar with her work, and then I'll
yes.
Sure. I'm really happy to be here with you all. So as an introduction, I'm a Muslim. I was born in India and I came to the United States at the age of 4. I became an accidental activist in our education issues when the woke educrats in Fairfax County, Virginia, came after my son's high school, Thomas Jefferson High School for Science and Technology. I knew that it was just going to be a matter of time before all of the intersectionalism of woke activism would just implode. And what I'm talking about there is that there is a oppression matrix, right, that the activists have tried to force everybody to accept. Well, they have had a very strange alliance with members of my Muslim community that have found it in their interest to participate with the Democratic activists on various issues from school boards to national politics. And we've seen it play out in Fairfax County, Virginia. And I knew that there are fundamental issues that are separating the Muslim fundamentalists in my community with the woke activists. And one of those important issues is the issue of sexuality. So this was just going to be a matter of time before intersectionality imploded. And that's what we're going to be watching tonight.
But at least if we can have everybody lined up and ready. The same screen is out in our overflow rooms. So if there are any participants in the overflow rooms who have a blue
All right,
card,
I believe I got it. Can you guys hear the audio okay?
Yep,
yes, we can hear
it. Fabulous. Let me know if you need me to pull that down, please. I'm going to go ahead and jump in the background now. Thanks for watching, everybody.
Yeah, so what's really important here is Michigan, as a lot of people know, is got a very large Muslim community, a lot of very big Arab community. And so I know that community very well because in our Muslim society, we have had a lot of battles about interpretations of Islam. And this issue of sexuality has been a really important one to me because I'm a single mom. I actually was pregnant with my son without being married. And that is a sin in Islam, as it has been in many religions, but it's also punishable by death in many Muslim countries, which is something that we've departed from in the West. And that is fundamentally one of the central issues that's going to be at play tonight is not only the issue of intersectional politics and all of that, but sort of like where we draw the limit. And I think what we found here is that rational parents and this Muslim community in Dearborn, Michigan, recognize that there's a taboo that we have to honor on not sexualizing and hypersexualizing children. And we can all agree on that. So let's see what's going on at the board meeting.
charity. Because what happened last time is one of you guys sat there and disrespected the community by telling us shut up when you guys first addressed to calm down. And I said, this is inappropriate. And I'm not going to sit here and tolerate anybody to disrespect my community. We're out here for the kids. We didn't come here just to sit there and joke around, laugh, and this and that. This is not funny. This is
familiar to a lot of parents.
How these parents were treated. The graphics, this is not inappropriate. Because what they did in West Virginia is they said, yeah, we got a committee, we're going to look into it. They looked into it, and the next thing you know, they drafted people so they can forget about it, and then they came back and put the books back on the shelves. Now, I don't know what you guys are trying to do. Yes. I don't know, why didn't you take these books out and say, that's it, we're done with these books, but you guys want to sit here and just keep the books? Instead of you guys taking the 6 books out, we wouldn't even be here. What's the problem? What's the agenda? What are you getting out of it? What grants have you? I did a FOIA request. I think you guys got it. 15.231 as amended. And I'm going to find out everything. And I'm going to find out what grants you guys, what's it called? Who has a nonprofit organization that's funding you this money. And you guys are sitting here and just, it's getting ridiculous. People got kids out here. Okay? I'm not against the gay. I'm not against anything. I'm against the books. There you go. Okay? Don't sit here and say that people are sitting here coming to you guys and just telling you, oh, we want these books out. You worried about the gay people? No problem. We're not worried about the gay people. We're worried about our children. Okay? Really important. And second of all, I don't want to hear anybody, okay, sitting there saying, oh, you guys are offending the gay. These are kids. They can be 18. If they want to become gay, let them become gay. Who cares?
Right.
It's not a problem. Right? We don't want kids to have access to these books. It's nice and simple. I'm not going to address the situation
as minor children.
It is. It is what it is. And the only person that's behind this is Rashida Tlaib. Do not vote for Rashida Tlaib. It's nice and simple.
All right. There we go. Yeah. Really important. That is the woke Democrat intersectionalism that elected Rashida Tlaib. And here's a man who's opposing her. Very fascinating.
And current atmosphere.
Let's go back to the board meeting. We don't get to see them. Okay. So that might have been
Patricia.
Let me see who that was.
That might have been Hassan Hoon.
Next.
Yes.
Yeah, that is
exactly.
The live feed.
Okay. We'll wait for
they could be facing a recall over this. If they have
I believe from our conversations earlier today, I can't speak for sure, but I believe that they did submit a petition for a recall of the president.
We'd like to speak to the board about illegal sexual explicit books.
Let's hear what Jeff has to say.
Jeffrey Sala.
Great.
I'd like to begin by saying thank you for the least acknowledging there is a flawed process and implementing a process.
Just like everyone.
My biggest concern, why is the burden on the parents to find these books?
Again.
What happens when the parents who don't read or speak English,
right?
Why is it on them to try to opt out? They don't know what's going on.
Yeah, this is the oppression matrix, and this is exactly, they want to talk about cultural responsiveness, but they ignore
how do these books even end up in our library?
Speakers.
That's the biggest thing. I mean, these books are really bad. When I'm looking at it, I cringe. They don't belong in the hands of 13, 14, 15-year-old kids.
I think most opt-out forms of
I believe there should be a process to review these books before they even get in our schools, not a review process once they're in our schools.
All right, so he's echoing.
Next speaker is Mr. Ziad Abdul Malik. He would like to address the board on sexually explicit materials and dress
second language learners that are very vulnerable then to this kind of indoctrination because they can't read what their children are getting. All right, so now we have.
I now understand that you have a book challenge in process in place, or I shall say that you had one before, but it wasn't very public to the parents. It is also understandable that there might be some material in the schools which could be considered borderline inappropriate or controversial, depending on one's views. This book challenge has a potential to be a best-case scenario for these types of materials because everybody takes offense to different things in different ways. In regards to the specific material that we saw in the media center, a normal, psychologically sound and stable mind would come to a conclusion that that specific material is nothing but sexually explicit.
Well said.
And this type of material further promotes mental health issues, especially in reflection to self-harm, according to previous studies. I understand today that there are certain elements here in this city, as well as across the nation, making baseless claims which are vilifying parents and are making the issue about everything else except protecting young, impressionable minds from filth that most adults shy away from or are uncomfortable reading. This type of material is a definition of things that fell through the cracks. And I understand in a library of 500,000 books, it happens sometimes, even against best efforts. But that is where we step up and acknowledge that acknowledge our failures and we right our wrongs. These specific books should not be subjected to a book challenge, but outright removed. These are not borderline controversial materials, but outright infectious diseases on young developing minds which have the potential to have these minors seeking psychological help in the future. The school's job is to promote academia, and the parents' job is to raise their children. Mm-hmm. You are not a daycare, but a core education provider, which we pay our annual subscription fees through our tax dollars. Stick to math, science, history, literature, automotive, and computer technologies, which excites and challenges young minds, which in turn will provide the world with intellects that will lead in breakthroughs, cure disease, be upstanding, contributing members to society. So let's focus on raising our rock-bottom test scores and do away with exposing minors to sexually explicit material. You can do better. We can all do better.
All right, so I want to show folks what he's talking about. This is one of the books that they have called.
Next speaker is Miss Ann.
There's the knife. And what they're showing then is
cutting. Turn down, Sam. Yes, the cutting, self-harm.
Yes. Go ahead. Let's keep hearing. I love this. Is so wonderful.
Last
okay,
Monday,
now we know which position she's
and very disrespectful to the community.
All right, there we go. So there's a white American now.
You will be held to atonement by your own higher power, but your higher power is us.
Okay. All right. So this is good, and
I'm going to remind you and just read what you handed out so nicely today. Dearborn Public Schools believes that media materials can contain graphic or gratuitous violence, sexual contact, explicitives, or hate speech without literally or educational merit should not be included in our school media center. And I'm going to read you that act that you so graciously put in there. Harmful to minors means sexually exploited material that meets all of the following criteria. Consider as a whole, it appeals to the produced interest of minors as determined by contemporary local community standards. This community.
Fascinating. So what
it is patently offensive and suitable local standards of adults as to what is suitable for minors, worthy adults. Local community means that the county in which the material is disseminated. This county. Cruous interest means lustful interest in sexual stimulation or gratification in determining whether sexual exploited matters appears to be prudent interest, and the matter shall be judged with a reference to the average age of 17-year-old minors. It appears from the character of the matter that is designated to appeal to the prudent interest of particular group persons, including but not limited to homosexuals and sadomatistics. And then matters shall be judged in reference average age minors within the particular group from which it appears to be designated. This is a legislative law, and you are not abiding by it. And may God have mercy on your soul.
That was a great point. They brought out, you can't even discuss it unless the person's 17.
And look at these
Next
folks are now
speaker
being
is
called white
Mr. Najri
supremacists
Al-Madhaji and Fahad
because they are refusing the oppression matrix anymore.
on school curriculum, as well as age-appropriate materials, and they're in Dearborn.
Assalamu alaikum. Thank you.
So that means peace be upon you in Arabic.
So I want to first start out by saying one thing. Any of the teachers that are here, our beef is not with you. Our beef is with you.
All right, pointing at the school board. This is again.
So let me get that out of the way. Now,
around the country.
last month, I came to the board meeting for the first time in my life. And
Story of
we
many
read
parents.
some of the material that was in these so-called books. The great sex app debate. There's actual reviews about Grindr saying how good it is. I have used Grindr. The advantages are you can get what you want quickly. This is from the book. I've met a variety of interesting people through sex apps. They're predominantly used for sex though. They're sold to us as social networking apps, but we all know what they're really for. I don't have a problem with that aspect of it. If people want casual sex, then something like Grindr is a must. And we read that to you last month. And you looked at us like we were some kind of crazy people speaking to you.
Right.
Like almost like we had nothing to, like we had nothing to say. Now,
Yeah, illegitimate.
does anybody need a college education or a PhD to know that this book is not appropriate for kids? Why in God's name do we need to have some complicated process? This is strictly just common sense, guys. How did we get to this point?
Right. How do we get to
Common
this
sense.
point,
So-
activists?
When I mentioned this last week, I thought what's going to happen is you guys would be like, okay, you know what, you parents, you have a point. We'll work on making our processes more robust. These books absolutely do not belong in the library. But instead, what happened was the exact opposite. We were viciously attacked, social media and beyond social media. Even people like me, people trying to get me fired from work, and yet at the same time, they are attacking us while at the same time being the victim. And all along, all you guys are silent. What exactly are you doing? So let me say this. I have faith in the great people of Dearborn, okay? The vast majority of people in Dearborn agree with us. We are a compassionate people. We are a tolerant people. We are a faithful people. And at the same time, we are a courageous people. And we're not going to give up until this issue is finally resolved. And unfortunately, it's not going to get resolved until you guys are removed from the board.
So this.
Next speaker is Mr. Hussein Al-Mudawwal of Dearborn, would like to address the board on protecting our kids from materials not age appropriate.
Oh, you're muted. You're muted.
Next speaker is
You
Mr.
want to let Asra
Jason
know that
Skidmore.
her
would
feed
like
dropped.
to address
Ask
the
her to
board.
refresh and jump back in.
Hey, how you guys doing?
Okay.
You got
Oh, we have somebody on here from.
Oh, hello, sir. We had one of our guests join in.
Yeah. Hold on.
Hold on.
Let me text him.
Can we turn up the volume on the speaker?
Yes.
Then derided the Dagos, Wops, and Polacks that came 100 years later in search of consent. And they struggled through squalor, formed the unions that would earn them a fair living, allowing them to seek prosperity outside the limits.
Well, right now we're just listening to some of the speakers, and then we'll have our commentary on it. But I believe that you were one of the speakers this evening.
Okay, he's jumping in the room that Asra is in. Let me give him a call and let him know to hang on. Okay.
Thank you.
So
all right.
now You find that which you disapprove of, that which you hate, and you choose to subvert that end of community.
Hey there.
We're gonna have a
Hey,
separate
this
room
is
for you.
Sam. What we're gonna do? We didn't hear back on this, so we went ahead and had a guest come in the show. She's in the studio in your room here. So if you would send me a quick text, I'm gonna send you a different code for you to jump in. Okay?
Picked up from the Christian right who spent years trying to shove the gay back in the closet. Indoctrination, grooming, acceptance of pedophilia. That should be all you need to see this for what it is. It's one woman's crusade to stir.
Sir, we're going to have a separate link set up for you to join us. If you could jump back out, Sam's going to send you a text.
Can you hear me okay? Give me a thumbs up if you can hear me.
Okay, I got you. Yeah, I got you.
Okay, I'm going to send you a different code to come in, okay? And then give us a couple minutes.
That all the way to the top until there are no voices left in this country but theirs. I don't know that she expected such support from the Muslim community, but here they are, apparently fervent in their fear of all LGBTQ, because like I said, it's their turn to embrace the American way. So the school board has done its duty. You've listened to the community's concerns, done your investigation, presented a reasonable program that allows each parent to make these decisions for their kids. And I, for one, won't give up my rights as a father to anyone whose parenting skills are so fragile their teenagers can be undone by ink on a page.
Fragile.
Wow.
It's time for you to draw your line and stand by it.
All right.
Much of the community will stand with you despite
are now fragile.
all of this. If you cave and remove these books, they may believe they've won, but it doesn't make them right. History will judge them on that, and it will judge you. This nation does not look back fondly on such efforts to subdue its freedom.
Yeah, read the room,
So
guys.
this is amazing because these are parents who live in an
I
underserved
ask that you
culture, and
please
they are
be
not being
respectful
shamed.
of every speaker.
They are refusing
We have
to
been
be shamed.
respectful. There
Jump
has
in to
been
protect
respect
them.
shown up until now. Please
Have we
continue
not
to
seen
do
this
so.
before in
Thank you.
Fairfax?
Yeah, this scolding.
Once you have a speaker and supporting a school board member, they jump and protect them.
Next,
Right.
until
Probably
your
paid
turn,
access.
when you have the opportunity to speak, you can convey your message. Next speaker is Miss Louis Joelli.
No.
Sorry, you did
That
not
was
write your
what-
name.
Lois.
Jason
She would like to
Skidmore, I think that was the person.
speak to the board on supporting
And trust me,
the civil rights
they
of
will
all
make fun
students.
of the
I'm
fact that English is a
giving
second
my
language
time
to many of
Nancy.
these parents, just like they did in Fairfax County, Virginia. And they will say things like, "Oh, they call them the gay," because that's pronouns, and the article, the definitive article, is difficult when you speak a second language. They'll jump on the the guy talking about the infection or something like that. But at the end of the day, this is all just about common sense, like the dad talked about.
I have lived in Dearborn for 55 years.
All right, let's hear her.
Hundreds and hundreds of Dearborn public school students over the last 14
Can we turn it
years.
up a little?
I have watched my 3 children graduate from Dearborn Public Schools in recent years, and I pay attention to the school board meetings and to school board elections. And I'm saying all this to give you some idea of the depth of my investment in the effectiveness and success of our schools in Dearborn.
So
These are my children, my schools,
She's
this is
going to
my
be
community.
cheerleader.
My
for the
message
school
here today
board.
is not for the board, but for my community. I stand here today to represent the teachers, the administrators, the support staff in our
Perfect.
schools
Oh.
every single day, the people who are being called names. The same people we
Right.
have met at open houses and conferences. The same people who are doing their very best to support your children and teach
what did
our
that
children.
dad just call
The
the
same
parents?
people who have huddled in the corners of classrooms with our children, teaching them
called
what
them
to do
names.
if a school shooter enters the
And
building.
what she's trying to
The
do
same
is
people
she
who would
is
place
trying to
themselves
shame
between a
them
school
again.
shooter and our children.
As
And these are the people we are attacking. The school board and Dr. Maleko worked around the
Shaming.
clock
That's what
during
she's doing.
COVID to protect our children when we knew absolutely nothing about it. And these are the people we are attacking.
Material to exploit these
Mayor
children.
Hammoud was
Wasn't
called
in high
names
school.
last week
I was
for
like
pointing
that
out what
this
we
time.
all know because it was made very clear at the board meeting Monday night. That political
Sure,
groups
that's
from
fine.
outside Dearborn are manipulating our community to whip up hate against teachers and administrators and support staff.
Wow.
And especially
Is
against
There
our
we go, the race
LGBTQ
card.
students and staff members.
Very familiar.
The very same political groups, by the way, who have a history of embracing anti-Muslim ideologies, the very same groups who are doing this in hundreds of school districts in dozens of states, all in the last year. And we know this isn't about the books because the district has pulled the books in question to review. And they're reviewing every single book in every single school library. And they're allowing parents to opt out of any books. And they've created a repeal process. So let's stop pretending this is about protecting children from books.
Look at the crowd.
We all know this is about erasing our LGBTQ
Harry,
students and
how
staff. It was literally written on signs people brought to the meeting on Monday.
But this has pushed the dads
As a
too
community, we need to come together.
You're
and
absolutely
ensure that
right.
those
You
who
know
are
it's
different
bad when
from
you see
us
the
are
army of
embraced.
dads show up.
We need to teach our children
that they've just gone
we do
too
not
far.
fear people who are different from us, but that we welcome them into our community. We need to ensure our community, our schools, and our classrooms are safe, welcoming environments for every student and every staff member, regardless of their identity, religion,
do they know
or
what's
nation of
actually in this
origin.
book? This book
That's
is
who we should be
teaching
as
kids.
a community.
Yeah, and what she just
Next
did,
speaker
which
is
was
Mr.
like demonize the Arab.
Next speaker is Mr. Jonathan Cade.
Oh, absolutely, completely bigoted.
Yeah. All right, Jonathan Cade. Let's see what he's
including
got to say.
LGBTQ plus people.
Please do not
Jonathan?
speak if you do not have the floor. Be respectful and calm. Thank
Jonathan
you.
Cade.
They're not being respectful to the people in that room.
Next speaker of Dearborn, Mr.
And
Amrul
again, these are
Azam would
parents
like
who are
to address
engaging,
the
many of
board
them for
on
the
parents'
first time,
rights in
and
the
they're going to
educational system.
just like this is what they call white supremacy, right? When you play by the book and you like make people show up on time and all of this stuff. But now that is exactly what they are imposing upon this immigrant community.
We are not here to attack the board. We are not here to attack the LGBT community, and we are not here especially to
Very
attack
good
our
distinctions
teachers.
he's making. I'm really happy to hear that. Really
We
good.
cannot allow extremes on both sides to hide the narrative. We are here to exercise our parental rights and to hold the board accountable to the highest degree. To the board,
Perfect. Great messaging.
To the board, we entrust you with our children's safety along with their education. The blatantly
Isn't that what we all
inappropriate
feel?
content in question has no place in our public schools.
Right.
We have chosen you as our board to protect our children from age-inappropriate content. And all the parents here, yes, there is also a threat to our children from the internet and social media apps such as TikTok, where far worse content exists. However, internet use at home does not absolve the board from being held accountable by parents.
Right. This is an excuse that we heard from the activists in Fairfax County that, oh, well, the kids are going to
We are justified in voicing our concern about normalizing sexually inappropriate content in public schools. To the LGBT community, the majority of parents are not here to attack your right to exist in a free society.
Yes. Good. Very good distinction.
Well said.
Really important point.
But parents also have rights to protect their children. Criticism of age-inappropriate content is not criticism of the LGBT community.
Bravo. Well done.
However, advocating for such materials to be placed in schools is a violation of parents' rights.
Of course, people can
Finally,
advocate, but
you as the board have a duty to
violation of
repair the
that right.
trust that has been ruptured between parents and the public school system.
Yep.
And
What
for
are you
the
gonna do,
person that
Paul?
said that in the back, I'll repeat what he
are you
said.
gonna call him?
American values and the American way is not child pornography.
There you go.
Wow,
What are you going to call
that
him?
was
QAnon? Is he QAnon? Is he
Next
right
speaker
wing
is
conspiracy?
Absolutely.
This is good stuff. Let's keep listening to him, Sam. Let's keep
Yeah,
listening.
one of the things I've been bringing up is they're still failing to show samples of what it is that is being objected to.
Oh, we can share that with the audience
and
later.
Dr. Malenko and board trustees. I'm Jane Mazza, president of DFT 681. DFT 681 has always supported quality public education, supporting
Dearborn
a
Federation
welcoming
of
environment
Teachers. So
for
what
all
is
of our
that, you
students
guys?
and
It's
staff.
the chapter of the American Federation of Teachers, which is run by a woman who makes about $300,000, Randy Weingarten.
This political group has used fear and misinformation to
and
intentionally
has
divide our
put
community and cast negative
clutches
allegations on the
school
integrity
districts
of our
across
staff.
the country.
I find it puzzling that the community media
And
sources
she'll
have
be supporting
highlighted and
this
spread the
material.
misinformation
Very notion.
from this group. The DFT 681 has given back to the community in many ways. Over the past
All
10
right,
years,
great.
we've given out to children in this community over 10,000 books at homecoming and other events. In August of 2021, the DFT was awarded a $90,000 grant to promote back-to-school events. Every Dearborn school benefited from this grant. No community press was given to these events. DFT will continue to bring positive events to all of our children. Everyone
just
can
a
agree
com-
that having resources and books in our schools
Well,
that speak to the
you can
diversity of
point out there's a
identities
racial
and
component to
experiences of
this.
our students is critical
absolutely.
You have
for
a lot of
quality and
woke-
supportive education. Our community, like many others across the country, is being intentionally divided by political
Sam, we lost audio.
players
So
being
what's
exploited
important here-
with these false
there we go,
narratives
okay.
to divide our community for public reasons. I've been a teacher in this
And it
community
is
for
the
over
AFT
30 years.
that has
My
pushed
children
false
attended and
narratives about
graduated from
parents
Dearborn
for the last
schools.
2
My
years.
grandchildren presently attend Dearborn Public Schools. Please think about the teachers who teach your children. Many of them have their own children attending Dearborn Public Schools. You know them because they attend your churches or mosques and live in this community. They are working hard every day to make sure your child is cared for and educated in the best environment that
They
is
create-
welcoming to
she's
all,
created a
no
false
matter their
binary,
background,
right?
racial,
This is
or
not
religious
about an
identity.
attack on
We need to work
teachers. This
together,
is
Dearborn. We have
about
a strong
the
parent
selection
component.
of
We've always
inappropriate
offered
books
classes
in the
and
school
support
system.
for our parents. Parents should absolutely have an active role in their child's reading and education, but no parent should be able to tell another parent what their child is allowed or not to read. Thank you.
That's so illogical. We all know
Yeah,
that the school systems create rules, right? We don't have Playboy and Penthouse in the
I
schools.
am
Penthouse in
so
schools, right.
tired of grown adults playing this victim card. I mean, it's
Good evening, board members.
mind-boggling, isn't it?
Oh, yeah, you're right. And some of them, I
Oh,
went
my.
to their classrooms, actually. Thank you for teaching us. But our beef today, like others have said, it's not about you guys.
I love it when they turn their back on the school board.
Good evening, board
All right.
members. I'd like to ask this body of school board members whether you believe you are using your positions and platforms for future political advantages, or whether you choose this position of influence to defend, advocate, and fight for the needs and concerns of the families and individuals who elected you. Question: are you still standing firm in the
So he is asking the question
See,
about the political.
I take that as a
agenda
no.
of All of these, they don't respond,
Yeah.
and we know that they have political agendas.
As school board members, it is your duty to do what is right for your community. But unfortunately, that has not been the case. The community attended last board meeting with true concern about their children's education and exposures to explicit material. But
Sincerity.
unfortunately,
He's saying-
this body did not take us seriously.
Right.
It was only when the community came together and protested to hold the board accountable that this board and administration decided to take action.
Right.
Although, hold on. Although there has been a change by your administration, this is a only minor step to a much larger and more complex issue. There is more work to be done. This work can only take place by joining with.
So what he's expressing is the frustration of parents around the country. But just like Harry pointed
You're
out
to-
earlier, what we have
to keep
here
our
is
community
a minority community
material that
that
is
the
in the
woke
least
activists have said that they care about.
educational
But
or
here, you
beneficial
can
to
tell the
our
school
youth.
board has just ignored them.
This is not a battle between
Ignore
the
them and they're
school board
bullying
and the
them.
community. This
Yes,
is
and they're
instead has
bullying
to be
them,
a
exactly,
collective effort
because
to ensure our
this is what
children
we
are
experienced
receiving
as
the
Asian
educational
parents
resources
in
that
Dearborn
will
County,
further their
Virginia. They
futures
thought that they
and not
could
further
shame
confuse
us
them.
and humiliate us into submission. But they don't realize that we have
Over the past few weeks, I have
a
had
noble,
multiple parents, religious figures, and
noble,
organizations
cause,
contact
and
me,
that is the protection of our
and
children.
others
So
who
there
work on
is
this
no
issue
shutting us
of their
up or
support
shutting
for
us
this
down.
cause we are
And
pursuing
these
today.
parents will not
And
get
this-
shut
We're all
down.
on the same mission.
And this happens not just, this happens to other racial demographic groups that they literally have taken over, like in Fairfax County, the Fairfax County NAACP. It's like 90% woke and white. And they also exploit the Hispanic community with this material as well, where the parents don't speak the language, or they don't opt out because they don't have computers, and they simply send all these opt-out forms via email, and they don't have internet access at home.
Yeah, what we discovered in Fairfax County, Virginia, was in fact that the most egregious
Guys, I don't mean to interrupt you,
comments
but I
is-
want to let you know that we actually do have somebody in the meeting hall there on the ground.
Great.
In
Great.
the
Oh,
other
excellent.
room. So if you want me to, I can go ahead and bring him in now.
Yep, let's
Sure.
All right,
Yeah.
fabulous.
Harry was
And I'll let
saying
you
this,
introduce yourself.
this content goes into the Title I
Okay.
schools. Hey there, how are
Hello.
you?
Let me see.
Hello.
We have a frozen image of you right
It
now,
is
but
frozen. Hold on a minute.
can you hear us?
Do we know who's joining us?
I think that's Cash, I believe. I just spoke
Cash,
with these
okay.
guys over the phone. I'm not sure. Hold on a minute. All right, I'm going to bring up the board meeting until we see if he jumps back in.
All right, so the
He's
point
probably
that
on
Gary
mobile
was just
data up
making is
there.
a
So.
very important one, which is that a lot of this activism is directed at the most vulnerable communities. All right, let's listen to this board meeting.
I stand and my child and my future children. The past week, the movement that is obviously against sexually explicit pornographic material in the libraries, we've been called so many names: Trumpers, MAGAs, extremists, Christian white nationalists. Somebody put a picture of us, apparently. Terror, whatever.
Terrorists.
And
is
I
what
just
she
want
was
to,
about
and I
to
just
say, right?
want to say something.
Yes.
That if we were anti-LGBT, we would be going after these social clubs in schools. From my understanding, there
Great
are gay, straight alliance clubs in the high schools, and if this was an anti-LGBT movement, we would be
Right.
going after them before we'd go after the books.
Good point. I'm so happy that
Well-
they're making these distinctions. And what is she? She is a Muslim woman that the school systems have said that they want to accommodate, right? With cultural responsiveness.
And I just have a question for people who are Second Amendment supporters. Would you guys be okay with Guns and Ammo magazine subscriptions in our library? Because it's not age appropriate. And that's what we're trying to make you guys understand.
That's a
We're
good
trying to make you
point.
understand appropriateness
Right.
is age appropriateness. These books are obviously inappropriate. They're sexually explicit. They're pornographic. They're disgusting. I'm disgusted just looking at them, let alone read them. The media itself, blurred out the images from these books.
Right.
So just ponder on that for a moment. Thank you for hearing me out.
Ponder, right? Oh, do we have our guest?
Next
Is he
speaker
able to
is
join us?
Mr. Hassan Ali of Dearborn would like to address the board on education.
All right, Mr. Hassan Ali. This is fantastic. We can't hear him right now, but there we go.
There's no doubt
Yeah, sorry about that. Their audio keeps coming and going.
it's a good one.
Okay, great.
In our diverse society of competing faith and value systems, the promise of education for all remains the great equalizer among individuals and a safeguard of our republic. That's why we tolerate a government monopoly on education, because education for all is necessary for a healthy society, on the condition that it serves the common good.
Right.
On that basis, we place our trust in public schools, that they serve the common good. The argument for public education fails when that condition is no longer met. When parents, the primary stakeholders in
We lost it
It's
again.
just cutting out.
beliefs
I've got
and
here-
dogmas that
there
seek
we
to
go.
indoctrinate
Just
students
share some of the
and
books.
turn them against their faith or against the values of their families. That is when parents lose trust in public education. Across the country and here in Dearborn, we are witnessing that loss of trust. We've seen political activism encroach upon the public school system, not just in the form of obscene books that masquerade as representation, but in curriculums, in school policies, in political flags and symbols that hang in classrooms, and in activists who abuse their trust to teach objectively and impartially and instead seek to make activists out of their students.
There you go. That's exactly what's happening.
Those activists not only...
Here we go, like woke baby. Perfect illustration. Baby, arms up. We just can't hear it right now, so I'll just entertain you all with...
Despite being underpaid and overworked. On behalf of parents, I want to honor our teachers and express our esteem and gratitude for everything they do.
And what is so insulting about the teachers union approach is this is an immigrant community.
As the adults in the room, we have a collective responsibility to our children, to posterity, to ensure the education they receive is worthy of their childhood and their inquisitive minds. For that reason, we've submitted a resolution to the board containing sensible and practical measures to affirm the rights of parents to direct the education of their children, to increase transparency in school curriculum and instructional materials.
We are calling this a parent bill of rights around the country. This is what we need to pass. Exactly.
We do.
And so I want to make an important point. These are immigrants. I know. I came from
Mr.
India.
Muhammad Muslih
And
of Dearborn
they have
would
government
like to speak to the
schools
board
that
on
have
education.
failed, many of them, right? And they came to America for this school system, not to lose their children, but to uplift their lives.
Next speaker is Mr. Mustafa Al-Karagoli of Melvindale would like to speak to the board on
Mustafa is my brother's
children's
name.
rights. It's not about LGBTQ. It's about kids, exposure to sexual content.
Mustafa was one of the names of
is
the
he here
Prophet
to
Muhammad
address us?
in Islam.
Okay. Next speaker is Mr. Jackson Wagner of Dearborn would like to speak to
Wow, they have a lot of
the
speakers
board
this evening.
on the proposed book ban.
Again, they're framing it as a book ban. I mean, might as well
I
call it
know.
a book burning, right? This is the stealing of the narrative of parents' empowerment.
Me to see our community torn asunder, to see friends and neighbors turn on one another. Diversity has always been Dearborn's strength. Let's never forget that. We have schools to train students to be engaged citizens of a democracy and to coexist with people different from them. How can we teach the next generation of citizens to embrace democratic values like freedom of the press, freedom of speech, and freedom of religion if we betray these principles and deny them these liberties in school? We all...
Please allow the speaker to speak. Thank you. Continue.
We all want children to be safe, and we all want them to be well informed. These goals seem like they are in conflict today, but they don't have to be.
What does that teach?
We know that sexuality is more or less the same over the course of someone's life.
What?
Oh.
I'm sorry. Did you not see this book right here? This one?
Oh, yeah, let's talk about it. Exactly.
Exactly. Nothing could change that. It just made me suffer. For many people like me, that pain drove them to suicide. Banning LGBT books isn't going to stop anyone from being gay. It will just make them miserable and alienate them.
This is a book
and the
called
consequences
Genderqueer
might be
that
fatal.
you're featuring here on
I
the
want
channel.
everyone here to imagine a time
And this is in the
when they
Fairfax
felt
County
like
Public Schools, and one of the
everyone
parents
around
had
you
talked about
hated
how it
you
is that
for
they
who
had
you
this
are.
fake review
I'm not
process,
Muslim,
and this book
and
is
most
back
of you
in the
aren't
school
gay.
system here.
But
And
all
American
didn't hear
Library
you.
like to
Association
be
is
mistreated by
promoting
people
this
who
book.
know little about you. Maybe you can
Books
hide
that
who
talk
you
about
are,
brother and
but
sister.
that
and-
hurts in a different way. The far right in this country despises us all. What I'm
Look how they
asking
label
for
them.
is that
Far right.
everyone have compassion and consider the harm you do to
So if the compassion stops, though, at accepting or even hearing the anguish that these
the moaning
parents are
environment.
expressing. And that
Even
is
though
what-
I had
that's just
open-minded and
myopic
supportive
view
parents
that they
who
don't
instilled in me the
see
value of
their-
books and
is
diverse
limiting
cultures,
their
without a
own
supportive environment, I
compassion.
still suffered. We owe today's students a better community. Let's build that community environment by choosing.
So this issue of
discuss
suicide is a
difficult
very
topics
important one.
rather than
This
shying
issue of
away from
suicide
them.
is a very, very important one
stand
because we
together
take it
in
seriously, right?
solidarity
Like the
and
mental health and brain health of youth
Dearborn
is so
should be a
critical.
city where
But a
everyone
very important
knows that they are
investigative
safe
report by
and
Reuters
loved
just
and
chronicled
supported.
how it is that even physicians are acknowledging that suicide is being used as a lever for some of this inappropriate medical operations that students are undergoing when they believe that they are transgender. So it's a very dicey topic. All right, let's see who's next. So that
Go
was
ahead, Elder.
Mustafa. Stage right, stage left. Okay.
I heard they had a good number of speakers. I think maybe even upwards of 60, I think.
Everyone be
Wow.
respectful and calm and allow speakers to speak.
So patronizing. Again, that tone
Yeah.
is just paternalistic.
Very
You know,
paternalistic. There's a
very
complete racial
paternalistic.
component to this. It's a
Yeah.
complete racial component to this. I mean, they are being like, we
And
know better for you guys than you.
yeah. And what's so ironic is when
Mr.
you
Abbas,
look at
please proceed to speak.
conversations
Yes,
and
please
the
continue.
consultants
Everyone be quiet so we can hear the speaker. Be calm and
patronizing
respectful.
again.
Thank
Because
you.
it's a
Please
perfect
go ahead,
caricature.
Mr. Abbas.
Oh, those loud Arabs.
If you're trying to groom their kids, you think people aren't going to be upset?
And this is a community.
Dear
that you have to
respected
know.
board members,
Like we are very sensitive
we have
to
entrusted you
issues
to
of
protect our
indoctrination.
children. Dearborn, while destroying the family structure. There are other districts that have fallen prey to this filthy material, breaking the barriers that protect the most vulnerable. The issue here is not a religious one, nor is it an attack
Right.
against the LGBTQ community.
Right. I'm
It
so glad
it
you
is an
guys-
issue of age appropriateness. It is an
Right.
issue of sexually explicit, obscene, and lewd content. Many of us here don't care what your sexual preference is, nor do we want to argue about gender identities or if men
the
can
guy in
get
the back?
pregnant. What concerns us is that your personal beliefs do not poison the beliefs, our religious duties, or the biological facts. When the
Okay.
Wow. Well said.
And what is he
I'm glad
talking
that
about there? You know, I've got here just some signs. Vote for common sense in classrooms, right?
When you try to please everyone, that simply means you stand for nothing. Coming up with an opt-out of books program is not a solution.
Right.
Taking out the garbage is. When our children are under
we've
your watch,
said
it is your duty to protect them from erotica or overly provocative words or graphic
Some of these books
porn.
teach children how to
We
think
are
and read.
not talking about public libraries, nor do we agree with censorship. This is not a platform to segregate us based on political affiliation, nor is it a platform to advance political careers, be it school board, city council, or mayoral. We do not care about the ones that try to vilify us in the papers and media, in
Yep,
the media
that's right.
outlets, and history
Be
will remember us
unapologetic as parents. Be unapologetic. You cannot allow them to shame you.
in your backyard brawls, pitting us against each other while you quietly ignore the facts and endanger our children. My affiliation and responsibility is to protect my children and all children from falling prey to the traps of the creeps and pedophiles in this world. This is as black and white as it gets. This determines who will turn their backs on children. Our voices will be heard, and this will continue to escalate until our concerns do not fall on deaf ears. We will remember who abandoned us and who stood with truth and dignity. Every one of you will be held liable in the court of...
And
This is why elections matter.
This is the
Why-
yeah.
Yeah,
And
this
this
is
is
a
what
big
the Justice
moment.
Department.
Speaker,
This is what they tried to pit as quote threats, right? When you actually
They
want
did.
to
They got the
work
FBI. They called in the
democratic
FBI
process.
resources.
Yeah.
They called
So
in
it's
the
very
FBI.
ironic that the Muslim parents are the ones in that category now of domestic terrorists. Very ironic.
Well, they even
And
called them white
inappropriate.
supremacists.
We had been in
Yeah.
contact with several folks on the ground, Asra, earlier, and he
Good.
called me. One of my contacts that's been trying to come in the meeting called just before the meeting and said, "You're not going to believe this. They've put up metal detectors."
Yeah.
So there was
Just
a heavy
unbelievable.
police presence there.
intimidate them.
Yeah, definitely. We'll
Yeah.
go back to the meeting here. Same thing they did up in Loudoun
And
County.
again, remember, these are school boards that get
You
rid
want to
of school
ban books
resource
about gay
officers.
people and come up and use words like pedophile to describe gay people, who use words like sexual perversion to describe gay people. You're not trying to ban a book. You're trying to ban gay people. That's what this is about.
But we're just going to
And it's
ignore.
obvious because
You're
the
just going to
signs are
ignore
there.
that these
And
books
you know
are
what?
talking
It's
about
not
how
about pornography
boys and
either,
boys
because
and
you
men can have
printed
sex with one
out
another.
8-foot
That's not
tall
banning gay people.
signs.
That's grooming.
Right. So what he's trying to do is misrepresent what these parents are saying, right? They have said time and again that they
Absolutely.
are not against.
The guy
and I love-
holding the sign was showing it to all your kids. Come on, man.
See,
Let's
these are the
talk
woke
about what
activists
this
that's
really
coming in
is.
and trying to bully other
That
communities.
that is completely psychotic, what he just said. You're complaining and calling this pornography, but yet you printed it out, and the guy complaining and calling it pornography is showing it to your kids. That's psychotic.
so-
What kind of
So
logic?
we have to recognize.
Stone, you need
I just
to.
want to
Go ahead, Asra.
culturally, this is a community that will not allow themselves to be shamed. I don't know if people remember when President Bush went to Iraq and a shoe was thrown
Hey,
at
hold
him.
on one
This-
second. I want to hear this. We'll come back. Hold that thought.
To be defended. Every kind of character. Gay characters, black characters, every diverse kind of character that can exist.
They really don't know what community they're picking a fight with.
Yeah, I mean, this is a community that will not be shamed when it comes to protecting the children. It's just like
This literature reflects reality.
Address the board, please.
Literature reflects reality. And let me tell you this too.
Literature reflects reality.
There
It's
are
pedophile.
people who are adulterers in the real world. There are people who cheat their business partners.
Again,
There's people who
this
do
is a
all kinds
reality.
of
Do we
things in
want to
books.
make it
They're
normative?
villains. They shoot people. They hurt people. They do dastardly things. And we don't try to ban them from every book. And you know why we don't ban every book that has a villain? Because there's villains in real life. There's people who go out and bully others, who try to shout them down, who pull
Very
up
ironic.
signs and shame them and make them feel less than. Yes, villains exist
Wow.
in this world. And if the
Who's
most
shaming them?
wretched villain belongs on the page of a book,
Well, they smoked all the pedos out.
well, we can't go that far, Harry.
All
Let's
right,
not go
yeah, I
too
can't go that
far.
far.
Let's not go
Not
too
too
far.
far,
What
but-
what they have done is they have smoked out the people who
Next
want
speaker
to defend this.
I'm asking that everyone be calm and respect.
So I would gather from his speech that the graphic that we have up on the screen is okay with that young man, apparently.
I think
That's
he probably
the
would. I
board.
mean, he thinks that has educational value.
Next speaker is Ms. Judith Jones, would like to address the board on banning books.
I don't know why they have to call it. Well, obviously, when they talk about banning books, it's going to be somebody who is
Judith-
trying to steal the
Judith
It's
Jones?
narrative.
charged language.
Probably
Oh,
somebody
I think
from
we
the
know what she's
teachers
going to
union.
say. Yep, the
Yeah.
mask. Oh, yeah.
Probably a
This is
teacher's-
gonna be in favor of it.
Teachers
Good
union.
evening. My name is Dr. Judith Jones. I'm a third generation born and raised in Dearborn. I went
It's cutting out, right?
I don't think I'd.
Asra, I need to
I am not in
I need to
favor of
reset
banning any
this
books in
feed over here in one of my other machines. I'm going to reset that. Why don't you go back to your thought?
Okay, great.
Okay, go ahead.
You know, I think that what I have behind me is the library of books that I have collected in my own research in this area. I've been a journalist for 30 years, and there's no way that I would have taken the position that I do, that this is inappropriate for children, if I hadn't read every single one of these books. And Harry has gotten them also. Here's one, another example. This is just an example of the indoctrination by binary. This is an attempt put into the hands of elementary school kids, preschool children at the age of 4, big words like binary. Are you ready? And I'm ready to smash gender norms. They're only social constructs anyway. Can you imagine, Harry, you remember when your kids, are 4 years old? They don't even remember to brush their teeth, and they're going to learn about social constructs now. Age and
Yeah,
I am a member of the
absolutely
American
insane.
Federation of Teachers.
I called it, didn't I?
Dearborn.
I called
Yes, you
it.
did.
I taught science to
called it.
over 1,000 teachers.
Why are so many of the folks that are up there supposedly defending this content spending so much time talking about themselves?
Yeah, because it's
Because they
shame.
can't
It's a
articulate
tactic.
an argument.
They're
It's also a
narcissistic.
tactic.
Citizens like
It's a
me believe in
tactic of
free
shaming
access
people
to
because they
information.
try to build up their
and a
own
safe,
credibility to say that you guys are
inclusive
just
learning
posers.
environment
That's what they're
for
trying to
all.
do. But everybody
now,
knows that
there
when
are
you become a
people among
parent,
us
you're
trying
not
to
a
divide
poser.
this
You're
community
there every day
and
changing
attack public
diapers,
education.
cleaning up the
We
vomit,
stood
and
strong
tucking them
against Terry
into bed
Jones when he
It's
came
absolute
to
arrogance. They're
Dearborn.
saying, I know better for your
Right,
child than you
exactly. Exactly.
do. Complete arrogance.
Again, I'm going to get graphic here again. And over top of this lady talking,
Sid
defending
Martin
this, we'll put
and
one of the
Dr.
pictures
Groover
from
for
one of
your
the books
hard
in
work.
question.
What happened after your
So
presentation
this is a book
was depressing.
page from Gender Queer,
We
and
all
the
want the
storyline
same
is
thing.
that there
We
is
want
a
children to be
child who
supported.
believes
We
that
want great
their
schools where children
sexual
can
identity
pursue
isn't the one
their
in which
dreams.
they were born.
We all
And
want intelligent,
for example,
strong
that middle image is an interesting one. We've had activists say that this image does not actually portray oral sex because this individual who is, I don't want to misgender, so the individual that is standing is wearing what's called a
Thank
strap
you for
on.
your comments.
And
there's this
Next
one
speaker
too,
is
on
Mrs.
page
Stephanie
135
Butler, No
too.
City, would like to speak
Let me
to the
see which
board
one you're
on
talking
book
about.
review.
Page 135, the pederasty.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Which is then an adult fondling the penis of a child, a boy.
Yeah, within that book.
Yeah.
This is what they're pushing in schools.
It's beating a dead horse. What I am going to talk about, though, is slander and libel. So when you take the white woman in the room and then you turn thousands of Arab American Muslims into white Christian nationalists that are being led off a cliff by a sheep, insinuating that these people, some graduated from Harvard, are a bunch of idiots who can't think for themselves is disgusting.
Wow. Yes.
It's
Give it to 'em.
absolutely disgusting.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And you know it. So let's talk about harassment. Let's talk about the facts.
Right.
I have not even heard about your librarian.
Oh, we missed that.
This is great. She flipped the narrative on the activists who are always acting like they're the saviors of our
I filed
minority
a
communities.
report with this body, and I have gotten nothing. Okay? So let's not talk about that. All right? Let's talk about some facts. So there's a little misconception. We're going to clear that up tonight. Did I send my daughter to the library to check out that book? 100% I did. 100% I did. I knew what was in the book. However, when my daughter got to the librarian, and let me ask you, has this ever happened to another child or is it just my child?
So
Where
she
she
must be
was
an
asked
activist
if
in
her
the
mother
community.
was Stephanie Butler, to which she replied, yes, she is. Okay, well, I can't check this book out to you. Well, why can't you check this book out to me?
Wow.
Because you're...
All right,
Can you
let's see.
imagine this?
Stephanie
Like-
Butler is a real estate agent in Dearborn.
So you denied a student. Let's talk facts, okay? We're going to talk facts. To where I was on the phone with my daughter the whole entire conversation till the time that Miss Hassan beeped in on the other line, to which she said, Mrs. Butler, just wanted to let you know that your daughter's down here. She's trying to check out a gay book. I said, whoa, 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 stop right there.
Right.
Miss Hassan, is this a normal book? Like, it doesn't have any sex scenes, anything like this? Obviously, I knew what was in it. She flipped through it. She said, yeah, it's good. Okay, then let her check the book out. So you guys are slandering my name and pretending that these people have no brains to think for themselves because they don't want porn in the school.
So what happened? I'm just reading from the article. The Dearborn mayor, Abdullah Hamoud, the first Muslim to be Dearborn's mayor, said that he had posted a couple of days a statement about the protest. And he praised Stephanie Butler for her activism.
Oh, I'm sorry.
She's described here in this article as a Christian parent who has helped lead the efforts in Dearborn to remove some of these books.
It is quite disheartening that after so much strife and public outcry, this body has offered abysmal recourse to the parents who have clearly voiced concerns over sexually explicit, obscene, pornographic, and lewd content in their children's school library, a manifestation that subjects this body to criminal offenses under the threat of prosecution per MCL 722, section 674
We have
and
had
675.
parents try to pursue that kind of criminal prosecution in Fairfax
Further,
County
the books
to
in
no
question are
end
listed among the most
the prosecutor won't listen.
titles nationally on the American Library Association's website. So this phenomenon is not unique to the city of Dearborn.
Right. What she's pointing out is the influence of the American Library Association in the spreading of these
content
books.
for literary consumption, a process they already follow. However, the existence of these books has uncovered deficiencies in the said process. Superintendent, the statement you released was balanced. It addressed the varied sentiments around the topic, but it fell short of bringing much needed closure to this very sensitive matter. Pursuant to Michigan statute governing the public school system, MCL 380.10, parents are to be viewed as partners in our children's education.
Same struggle parents are trying to do in Florida.
Furthermore,
Florida,
the law itself recognizes
Virginia, everywhere.
It is the natural and fundamental rights of parents to determine and direct the teaching and education of their children. To that end, first and foremost, I urge this body to clearly outline that
We are hearing a familiar refrain, aren't we? This is the
We
same
are. Sexual
dynamic.
library shelves.
It is a machine
Secondly,
that
the
parents
release
are
statement
facing
puts the
in
burden
school
on the
district after school
parents
district.
to have knowledge of the school library's 300,000 unique book titles, their contents, and their literary value, thereby negating the process of challenging or opting out specific book titles. This represents a short-sighted proposal which requires a more practical framework. Thirdly, Superintendent, the most important sentence in your release statement is the following. We are also aware that the vast majority of students in our care are minors, still learning about life in the world, and they are not ready emotionally and intellectually to process some content. I couldn't agree more and hope that we find meaningful closure to this issue so that we can focus on equally important matters. Finally, and most importantly, the issue pertains to the health and safety of our school-age children and should not be.
I would just like to make a little point that, like, as a Muslim activist and as a Muslim feminist, I have fought in my community for a acceptance of decisions by adults on issues of sexuality.
Would like to speak to the board
whether
on
it's an unwed mom or somebody who's gay. But this has gone too far with this activism of these folks pushing these books, because they're going, just like that mom said, after minors. Adults can live and let live, but minors cannot be
To
indoctrinated.
the community, I hope you realize what the elected officials have just done. They are using ordinances against us, threatening us with arrest, trying to keep us quiet and trying to
This
stop
is
us
it.
from speaking up for our
Criminalization
children.
of parenthood.
This shows their true feelings in regards with this situation. They have metal detectors at the door as if we are criminals.
Right. This is the criminalization of parenthood.
Yeah.
What are you guys trying to say?
Muslims
Trying to
as
intimidate
domestic terrorists now. I'm really happy that the Muslim
Let me
community
also make mention of
sees
some of the chatter that
dangers
us
of this
residents
woke
are hearing. The ones vocal against the concerned parents of Dearborn. The ones accusing us of being outsiders. Perhaps the most important point that most of our community members may have overlooked is that virtually every single community leader or supposed leader and self-appointed spokesperson that has chosen to condone and or support the exposure of our children to sexually explicit content in our schools does not, I repeat, does not have children attending our public schools.
Same issue that we face. Yeah, same issue.
They have
Exactly
either
right.
chosen to have their kids attend private schools, religious or otherwise, or their children have already graduated from our public school system, or they do not have children, nor do they live in our community.
Yeah.
The bottom line is
Well said.
Right. I mean, they are not going to be intellectually shamed either. That's really important because, Harry, we know this. We talked about our
virtue
Asian
signaling.
community.
We don't want
They
nor
need a
do we
choice
need
to
people
come to
tell us
this
how to raise
country.
our children. Your job as a board is to ensure that the safety and education of our children, not to raise them. We are here to demand that the Board of Trustees hear us and implement our resolutions that we have submitted. Anything short of that is telling us that you feel too comfortable in your positions and that our legal rights do not matter. We the parents, will not settle for anything less than what we propose through our resolutions. As I've stated previously, you sit in those chairs through our votes.
Right.
I think they forget
Remarkable.
that
It's really remarkable, and it's really, really
You sit
great
in
to
those
see
chairs
this.
to represent our needs and our interests, not the other way around. Show us anything short of respecting the will of the people, and we will have new community members sitting in those chairs.
That's the way it is. That's politics.
It is. Go after their seats.
Yep. And so, what is MSNBC going to do now?
Hold on. The ball is now in your court. Best.
What Joy Reid will do? She's the mouthpiece for it.
Call them the white supremacists.
Thank you
right?
for your comments.
Yeah.
They made a caricature of the Loudon County.
They cut his
parents.
mic off.
In the best interest of time, we've still got a lot of people that would like to
Now
be
they're gonna
heard.
cut off
Can I please
mics.
remind everyone to line up?
Oh, interesting how like.
Well, in fairness, it may have been his time, but he was mid sentence there, and they shut
Yeah,
it.
no, it's not
Or
fair
non-censorship.
at all because what they are doing is they claim in their diversity training that time is a principle of white supremacy.
Yeah, it's
they
a-
claim, right, in
Right.
equitable grading that a child does not have to turn their homework in on time
Time,
because that's
yeah.
My name is
symbol
Lauren
of white
Olson.
supremacy.
I
But
am a
now
lifelong
the school
Dearborn
board,
resident
they're
and
more than
graduate of
happy to
Etzelford High School.
check the clock.
Reading is a foundational skill, critical.
Oh, looks they have another person without a child in the school system.
When else, or from the perspective of someone
Let
very
us know
much not
whenever
like
we
you.
might have some of the
Narratives
community
are how
members
humans
on,
learn
Sam.
best, and it's why
Yeah.
of civilization.
Yeah, I put the invite out to
Narratives
about
help
4
shape
different people,
our understanding
but
of our world and
the
our
one
place
guy
in it.
tried and then dropped off, but I haven't heard from anybody else. I have a feeling we
Okay,
may
great.
hear from some once the meeting is over or the public
I'm sure we
comment is
can
over.
we can
Yeah.
follow up or have a second
Yeah,
episode
yeah,
talk about this.
definitely. I have their media contact of the
And
parents
occasionally we
group
would
too, so
exchange
they
books
agreed to come
we
on.
thought the other would like.
We'll get it
I
going.
never did get my copy of Mouse Volume 1 back from Mr. Paz. I have read and vehemently disliked Less Than Zero by Bret Easton Ellis, and it didn't even mentally scar me. I'm still an avid
Oh my
reader, and I
gosh.
am such an avid reader because I was allowed to enjoy reading. We should do everything we can to encourage reading among teens and
Reading
kids.
how to cut
Parents
oneself.
have the right.
That's
you
literally
know-
what she's advocating for.
What'd you say?
She's literally advocating for books that teach children how to cut themselves.
Allowed to read. Just because
And
you
some of these
personally do
books
not
have
want your kid reading a specific book
teaching
does
kids
not mean that book
autoerotic
does not belong in the school
asphyxiation.
library. There is a
Right,
parent opt-out
dangerous.
form, which
Oh, this is again a really important principle, parents that are watching. Always fight
every
in your
student
school
from every
system
walk of
for
life.
opt-in forms whenever there's an option. But obviously, in this case, we just want these books that are inappropriate out of schools.
Or they should modify their library selection policy. If there has no
So I'll
literary
just,
value.
to Harry's
Which one is
point,
that?
At a Boy Scout camp the
fantasies
summer
and
before high
porn.
school,
Let's
grappling
talk
with the
about it.
realization that he may not
That's
be
the
in
book
this,
that encourages that
worrying
encourages
about
your
how
kids
his
to go
father is
search
being abusive,
online and talk to strangers about
yeah,
kinks and fantasies.
yeah. Let me read to you this page.
is an all too common lived
A
experience for many in
great
the
place to research fantasies and kink safely is on the internet. There you see the picture of the young woman on the internet. There are tons of people and communities out there who share your interests and have all kinds of advice. Just unbelievable. And then in it is, of course, their graphic images of sex going on. So we're not talking about, just sort of innocent conversation about gardening, right, as an interest. This is about actual sexual activity then.
And encouraging young children to take that interest onto the internet.
Into the internet and to seek out pornography. It also has in here teaching your children how to do sexting to one another, sharing nude photos of themselves with other people.
Next speaker is Cliff Alloway of Dearborn.
And I'm sure you'll like that it
Would like
talks
to
about
speak to the board
anal plugs for
on
children as well.
age-inappropriate books in our school libraries.
It's really
May we
remarkable
have the
for
mic
me
on, please?
personally to see these names: Ahmed, Mustafa, Muhammad, Ali. I'm happy to see parents empowered in all communities.
This is
And
certainly inconvenient
Was
for the
not
woke
expecting
narrative.
to be standing here. I'm an
Yeah.
avid reader. I'm a product of these Dearborn Public Schools.
Right.
Stout is my junior high school, which I attended. You'll find my family with books. We're curled up in any
Right.
corner, always reading. I never thought I'd stand to boycott or to ban books, and yet here I am.
Right.
I never
Yeah.
imagined I would be standing in front of a board telling them that they do not have the interests of my child in their minds, and yet here I am. I read one of the books, and I was very surprised to find a graphic novel, as she just spoke about, of children gathered to masturbate, excuse my language, everybody, to masturbate into a bottle with the person who
flamer.
does not participate must drink whatever is in that bottle. Another
Wow.
part of the book talks about children taking wieners.
I think he's talking about this book.
Okay, for this to be in the
Blame
hands of my children, shame on you. Like I said, I'm a product of these Dearborn Public School teachers, and my teachers, Miss Bristol, Miss Holmes, Miss Gruce, if I had uttered any of these words, would have grabbed me by my ear, dragged me to the sink, and washed my mouth out with soap.
He is flipping the shame narrative, and that's really important.
And how I wish they were here today to drag each one of you to that sink and wash your mouths with soap.
Wow.
Shame on you. Shame
Amazing.
on you. Shame on you.
Good
Yeah, that
for
was
them for
powerful.
flipping it.
Spot on.
So
Spot
next
on.
Speaker
That
is
was.
Miss
The word in Arabic for book is kitab, and it is such a valuable and important word. I mean, you can see behind me my own library. This is, how much we grow up loving, just like in so many families.
Please repeat the name.
Books.
Yasmin Al-Mauri. Not here.
Yasmin
Next speaker is Miss
Al-Mauri.
Nicole McLean of Dearborn. Would like to
Okay.
speak to the board on the book issue.
All right, is that all there is?
Well, 6 more.
Next speaker is Mr. Hassan Nahmi. Would like to speak to the board on sexually explicit materials and books.
I'm really happy that they really are threading the needle
Next
in that
speaker is
really
Mrs.
important way.
Crystal Paulson, No City.
They are very
Would like to
clear
speak
that
to
they
the
are
books
not being
on the Me
against
Too.
people. They are against the exposure of their children to this inappropriate
Mr.
material.
Speaker, next speaker
and
is Mr.
That's so important
Harry
because every child
Saleh
needs to be
would like to
loved,
speak to
right?
the
Every
board
child
on
needs to
no
be
hate
embraced.
speech.
They need to be protected.
Right. Is this Harry Saleh? I'm not sure.
Harry,
Saleh.
Soleil.
Saleh.
So we're down. We've got four. It looks like we have 4 speakers left.
Mrs. Vivian C, it doesn't say the last name, of Canton would like to speak to the board on our children's safety and parental rights.
Oh, it's just atrocious the way they mispronounce our names, even in Fairfax County. I mean, it was so obnoxious they wouldn't even allow appropriate translation of Spanish speakers.
Yes, they have the right to speak. They just have to identify from where they're at. Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum.
It's me, Nancy Sterniak. Tasharrafna.
All right. She's clearly got performance speaking going on. Performative speaking. Oh, she cut out.
I was working on a factory 9 hours a day. I was working for an hour and a half just to pay for my bus trip. 2 buses to work and 2 buses to go home. Actually, not home because I went to night school. And you know what? In my street, I played together with the Asian, with the black, with the white, whatever was there.
Where does she say
we
she's
played
from?
Together.
I
I
didn't
never
catch
heard
that.
about
Okay.
separation in Brazil. We were all the same.
Brazil.
All
From Brazil.
barefooted, kicking soccer balls, which were not really soccer balls. We got old socks from our fathers, and we put paper inside, and we played soccer. As you know, we are very good at soccer in Brazil.
Cutting out. Let's see.
Yeah.
I taught elementary level, junior high, high school, college, graduate classes in college, and I love my students. Everyone who comes to my classroom, I teach.
Let me show you what's
but there
being
is
taught
one
now.
thing. If anyone comes to my
one's that?
class and shows me a picture that's in this book, out of the class, that student goes.
All right, so she's supporting
Yeah.
them. Very kind. Very kind.
And you know what else? You know what else?
Again, another
Parents
minority
are in charge
immigrant.
of their children. We
All
need
right. But this is also, immigrants come from
We
many
must
traditional
respect
communities,
them.
right? And what are we
Yes.
going to say? We're not going to respect their value for parenting? Like that is basically what the activist agenda is trying to communicate, and that is an
And I
affront
knew
to
at that
immigrant
time,
communities that have come
teachers
to this country with their
respected the
families.
parents.
Respect for
And
the
then try-
parent. Yeah.
And then try to do something to break
And
up
the
their family.
board
Right,
needs to
right.
respect the parents.
Literally, that's what
And
they're doing.
I-
They're trying
I
to break
just-
apart families.
Yeah. And you know what they say in
Masalama.
Islam? We are taught. That's so lovely. So what we are taught in
Next
Islam
speaker.
is that heaven lies beneath
Next
the foot
speaker
of
is
your
Dennis
mother,
Duggan.
you know?
Would like to
So
speak to
this
the
is an
board
honor
about the
and a
importance of
respect that
experts.
has to
Dennis
the
Duggan?
importance of experts. Let's hear what this person
Next
has to
speaker
say.
Yeah, she
is
said something condescending.
Giovanna Williams would like to speak to the board of
didn't
Dearborn.
show
Would like
up.
to speak to the
Person
board
didn't show
on
up.
separation of church and state, history of Dearborn.
What?
They're gonna get
Oh, hold on.
expert explained now about
They're going to
yeah.
separation of church
They're-
and state.
yeah.
Yeah, that's
They're
not
gonna-
religious when you want to protect your children from from
Right.
being sexualized.
Viviane, would you please go back to him, Trustee, or her? I'm
Parents
sorry,
also
Trustee. Nicole?
said that this is not about their
Yeah,
religious
we did
views.
have you. So go
And
ahead.
that's really important.
They're
I mean,
targeting
of course
you.
you can have your religious
I would
views,
like
but
to
this is
address the
beyond
board
religious views.
and say that I'm not from the community, but I'm from
Perfect.
Canton.
Here we go.
And the reason I came was because we need to support all the parents. The children are in
Okay.
jeopardy all around the country. It's very clear from the many ways that children are being attacked with the ideology, the sexual ideology that's perverting the schools.
Right.
And this is not only in the schools, it's all over with Proposal 3, the way that's going to be embedded in the Constitution of Michigan, that parents will have no say, will have no rights. And
so this is again the battle that is happening everywhere. We have a Virginia legislator who wants to pass legislation that says that a parent can be criminalized if they do not accept gender reassignment for their child. That's
I see
a reality.
This as an issue that doesn't affect just Dearborn. It affects all of us, because if Dearborn, with the supports and everyone that you see here tonight, if Dearborn falls, the entire country will fall. We will have no place to go. And as an immigrant, like a lot of us here, where do we go? Where do we hide? Do we go to Canton? Do we go to Dearborn Heights? Do we go back home? As some people here have said, these are not American values. This is not how we were founded. This is not how it should be. You need to repent. Everyone here need to repent and allow the children
to be children. This is outstanding, seeing the citizens of Dearborn stand up and fight and take a stand.
She loves this country. We love the country.
And
we
they're
all
doing it from
value
their place
education.
of
I know a lot of
identity, which
people
is
here,
what
they
the
value
activists
education.
always want
They've been to college.
people to do, right? But this is what our experience was, Harry, right? You and I, we were on the wrong side of brown and black for the woke activists in our community, and that's what's happening to these parents because they have the politically incorrect position. But just like parents everywhere, they have come to the recognition that they're coming after your child. Like they are coming after not only the child's heart and mind, but body.
And what's interesting is just to highlight, there is the racial component, like just who attacked us. Mostly in Fairfax, they were progressive and they were white. They were very far left.
Separation of church and state and history.
Yeah, I've never felt as much racism and discrimination in this country as I have these last 2 years by what I call the, Democratic machine in Virginia that has completely demonized us.
I'm a citizen of Dearborn. I've lived here over 20 years. I am a parent of a student in Dearborn Public Schools. My son and my husband are with me. I come to you as a community member. I love all of you. I really do.
Please address the board.
No, that's all. That's all I have to say.
They're
to
so
the
rude.
public is that I
So
love
rude.
my neighbors. That's it. I'm back to you.
So,
okay?
Wow.
However, I do
She
disagree with
reprimands the speaker.
and that's okay too. Okay? I want to say that to the board that there are a lot of 18 to 20-year-old voters. It's not just the people in this room. I'm going to tell you that the yellers and screamers and shouters have scared away a lot of innocent young queer kids. They have made them terrible.
Victim
This is the
Olympics.
demonization of parents.
Yeah.
This is the same tactic has been used in Fairfax County, Virginia, and
Children of this
must be
fine
loved
city.
and protected and affirmed.
Some of us may not
and
be old
we
enough to
all
remember.
believe that.
I'm going to pull up his names. I want to get it right.
Bring
Orville
up
Hubbard
a threat or a boogeyman
was a
that does not.
segregationist who took great pains to keep people like us apart. And that is
So-
not what this community is for. We really want to stay together.
So she's bringing up the history of
But
a
the only
segregation.
time I ever hear people say the word pedophile or
use.
filth or disgusting is when they're talking about people like me. And as a woman who always has to
This is-
fight for their right to exist, as a black woman who always has to fight for their right to exist, as a queer person who has always had to fight for their right to exist, I am sick and tired of people telling me to go off and be whatever I am somewhere else.
So she tried
I
to
am
just shame them for yelling.
And she's
But
yelling
she's gonna
herself.
yell
and
to
she's pointing,
shame.
And she's pointing
And
the race card because
Yeah, she's-
people don't want to
she's-
have their children exposed to this material.
Right. So she's playing oppression Olympics. This is the oppression of Olympics. to say that like
But we are
her
always reading about
wounds and
those things. We
grievances
never get to
are
read
above
about
those of
love,
these parents.
And
kindness.
potentially harming someone
If
else's
it
child.
bleeds, it leads. Anything that gets shot, anytime somebody gets in a car accident on Beach Daily or Gully, it's the first thing on the news. If a lesbian couple gets married down the street, you never hear about it. Quiet! It is my turn.
Please address the board.
So
And please
this
be
is
respectful
compassion, I
of the
guess.
speaker.
I guess this is compassion.
And she's probably over
This
time
is exactly
too.
what
Books
happens.
are media. Quiet! Reclaiming my time. I want 5 seconds back.
Please continue. Please continue now.
I will not be.
This
amazing
is,
how-
I feel sad for her because I just want to say that like these boards create
Thank you for your comments.
situations. They create this unhealthy, dysfunctional dynamic. It's because they don't listen. They're just stone cold listening to parents with no response, and they want to act like that makes them impartial, but actually that makes them dissociated from us, and that is what causes this kind of frustration.
It's just amazing how they just tore apart a community along the lines of race in such a manner. I mean, that was the only person of color that you saw argue for that material.
I know you don't have an easy job,
Yeah.
so I appreciate
Well,
the work that you do.
that is
They got a
and I
token
appreciate
in
the
case you were
opportunity to speak to you tonight. I'd like to start by saying unequivocally that I support our LGBTQ plus community. I always have and I always will. And
I have absolutely
course-
no idea why this audio keeps dropping.
Yeah,
community.
I just noticed that they
And I
keep on conflating the issue
live into
of
the best of who we
LGBTQ
are
rights.
by living into and realizing those values.
I mean, there.
Guys,
The,
I'm going to go. Listen, I'm going to go ahead. Why don't you chat for a few? I'm going to go ahead
Yeah.
and put you on a split screen and just restart this machine and see if that clears the buffer, or if it's. I don't know what the problem is, if it's on YouTube or where the issue lies, but I'm going to try to fix it.
I mean, it could be a number of things.
All right.
So
But it's just noticing how the. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say that, like, what we are seeing is the evolution of this parents' movement. Harry knows, we were at it from June 2020 after schools had closed, and we immediately saw in Fairfax County the woke activism enter into our school board with this attack on our #1 high school in not only Fairfax County, Virginia, but the United States. And they were prioritizing activism over education, literal education, because they were not returning the kids to school. And now we know that has cost this generation of students trillions of dollars of income potential, according to World Bank analysis. But these school boards continue to denigrate parents and concerned citizens with this kind of activism that is divisive. I mean, we're seeing it express itself now in Dearborn, Michigan. But I'm just so proud of these parents and also the community for really, looking inside their own hearts to be loving and inclusive in their messaging, so that they know that their ask is not from a place of intolerance. That's really important, right? To be in the middle about your values, so that you are a rational person. But this is just really exciting to see, Harry.
And they're up against a lot, particularly being a minority community. Because you imagine if they tried to advocate through, say, their PTAs about this material.
Yeah.
I'm sure the state PTA would shut them down, just as it would happen in Virginia.
Yeah, I mean, our experience, exactly, Harry. Like, our experience in Fairfax County, Virginia, was that once we, the Asian parents, stood up and said, well, actually, we're not, cheaters and, resource hoarders, buying our kids seats in schools. We didn't accept their narrative of us. And what did they do? But they took our community and they continued to demonize us and marginalize us We have parents, including that we're listening to tonight in Dearborn, Michigan, who have learned English as a second language. I learned English as a second language myself as a little girl coming to America at the age of 4. I grew up loving books, loving Nancy Drew. You know, I love books. I'm a book author. And what they do, Harry, right, is they strategically twist the message of the parents in order to make us out to be book burners and homophobic.
Extreme,
and that's
homophobic,
yeah, and
right-wing.
extreme, basically.
And,
yeah.
and some of the tactics that they use are so heavy-handed. For example, Thomas Jefferson Parent Teacher Association. I was the first Black president of that organization. Before I even took office as a president-elect, they immediately, like the Virginia PTA, led by Jenna Alexander at the time and Pamela Kroom, put us on probation. And then what that means as a parent, because you have assets within your PTSA, and our PTSA at Thomas Jefferson had $60,000 in assets. And what they had threatened to do, just because it was minority parents that were simply fighting against this woke racism, they had threatened to take away all the PTSA's assets that other parents had donated to this organization to provide mental health services and other support for their children to help with the environment. This is how far they're willing to go.
And
guys, I do have the feedback. I'm going to go ahead and go back
and
to
to
that.
your point. To your point, you don't see a PTSA president there representing these parents because the PTA, just like the teachers unions, are bought out by these activists, and they are pushing the agenda of the
have charters come in
activists.
here so that people can make a profit off of it. I've seen it. I've taught in other states. I've taught in Arizona where people are making millions of dollars off of public education money. We need to make sure we protect against that. We need to make sure that our
What does
students
his hat say?
feel safe. I have one last thing. If it's really not
Red for Ed.
community, if it's really not about that,
I know.
then I should be able to hang this flag in my classroom tomorrow with no problem. This is not political. It says everybody is welcome here. If everybody's welcome, they
Red
should be
for
welcome
Ed
here.
is teachers movement. Mostly
Next speaker is
teachers union.
Mr. Jim Downey of Dearborn Heights. Would like to address the
And
board
what he
on
was
books.
showing was the pride flag, and as we know,
Transgender, I think, yeah.
I couldn't tell, but the point is, it has become political, and that is
I've been an educator for over 20 years. I've gone through the Dearborn School District. I taught in the district for 8 years. I love my profession. I love my fellow teachers. I respect you guys. But I have to emphasize that there's nothing extreme about objecting to obscene content. I've heard a lot of comments about how the LGBT community has been mischaracterized and terrible things said about them. We're all against that. But I've also seen disparaging remarks made about the people here protesting the obscene content. That is not extreme. There is nothing in the least extreme about not wanting that material being promulgated onto minors. And I'm going to ask that needs to stop. There's nothing extreme. I'm not an extremist.
It's good to see people with moral courage standing up as a teacher too within that system. He's really putting himself out there.
Seen it coming from employees of the district.
Moral courage.
Employees of the district disparaging the people that pay their salaries. That is inexcusable.
Oh, I'm sure once they do their FOIA,
We're people here concerned about
goes
the
back
children.
and forth in the
That's
emails. It'll be
that's what binds us
awful.
together here. This is not an anti-gay issue. We embrace all of the kids in the school system. We want them to feel welcome. We want them to feel safe. This is an issue that is addressing decency. Let's focus on that issue. I hear a lot of platitudes about freedom and liberty being somehow in danger. It's not. This is an issue about decency. Focus on the issues. And for those of you who are very committed to these books, if you believe in those books, defend the merit of those books. I appreciated the woman who came up here earlier and talked about one of the books and actually explained.
Yeah, he makes a really important point. Defend the book itself. Don't demonize those that are critiquing the book.
This is an issue about decency. I thank you for the opportunity to speak. Thank you so much.
Glad he spoke as an educator.
Next speaker is Mr. Mustafa Murtada of Dearborn, would like to speak to the board on
Mustafa,
problematic books in
remember my
elementary
brother's
classrooms.
name.
I think these are maybe people that have signed up because I think they've already called the names of these individuals that aren't there because they're not
I
on
see.
Mustafa.
So there's Mustafa.
Good evening. I bring to you greetings of peace. I am a parent of two beautiful children in Dearborn Public Schools, both in elementary. Our son, who was in the 4th grade last year, stumbled into a book in the classroom library. I was going to mention the title, but decided not to avoid further commotion in this.
There's a school board meeting going on. Isn't it fascinating?
Who would have thought that?
When seeing this image in the classroom, our
have
son,
thought
age 10,
years
came
ago.
to us that same day
Oh, yeah.
and reported to us what he had seen.
But this,
We had
know-
no doubt that this book
Let's hear
was intentionally placed in the classroom by the teacher. Was this book pulled from the classroom? I don't know. Can a child attending that classroom now opt out? I don't know. Now, there's this notion by politically motivated instigators, among them a member of our city council, Aaron Burns, who just spoke a bit ago, egregiously claiming that this is an issue with folks that identify as LGBTQ. Well, I would like to redirect this narrative by saying that
I love
placing
it.
such books in our school and classroom libraries is an infringement on our
Wow.
I think they're talking about the city council member. Let me see.
scene.
So-
We had no doubt that this book was intentionally placed in the classroom by the teacher. Was this book pulled from the classroom? I don't know. Can a child attending that classroom now opt out? I don't know. Now, there's this notion by politically motivated instigators, among them a member of our city council, Aaron Burns, who just spoke a bit ago, egregiously claiming that this is an issue with folks that identify as LGBTQ. Well, I would like to redirect this narrative by saying that placing such books in our school and classroom libraries is an infringement on our inalienable rights to religious freedom and conscience, and more immediately, on the rights of our children to be protected from material with sexual themes.
So I see here Aaron Burns at a
This
event
book placement,
with the
among
Arab
many others, is an attempt to inculcate sexual exploration to our
Against
children,
hate.
to us as parents, and to an overwhelming majority of parents in this district. This is unacceptable. We demand respectfully that the DPS administration and school board take the resolution submitted to the superintendent, Dr. Maleko, for parental rights seriously. We will not allow our children to be exposed to such material in a space we expect to be safe for our children, our schools.
Right.
Needless to say, we appreciate the tireless dedication by the school staff. We understand it is an immense challenge for teachers day in and day out to care and teach our children. For the vast majority of you who do so without any hidden agendas, may you be blessed. Also, we
I'm gonna
appreciate
tweet out a
the
little
diversity
bit.
in our city, but in order for diversity to truly exist in harmony, one group must not transgress the rights of another group. This was a transgression of our rights as parents and the rights of our children, and this is a red line. Thank you.
Yeah, that's great.
May I please remind everyone to do not mention names? Thank you.
Next speaker
Oh
is
my
Mr.
gosh.
Muhammad Harhara of Dearborn would like to speak to the board on teaching our kids.
So I'm going to send out a tweet as a shout out to all these parents. Just say really proud of them. Really proud of them for overcoming their own
Ahmad?
fears, just like our parents in our community.
Next speaker is Amin Zrik of Dearborn, would like to speak about constitutional matters.
Can you hear me? Okay. Good evening, school board. First and foremost, I want to express my gratitude for allowing me to speak to the school board in regards to this matter. But there seems to be a huge misconception in terms of what the matter really is. The matter isn't about the suppression of sexual orientation, political affiliation, or whatever it may be. It's about the graphic material strictly, whether or not that material passes constitutional muster under state and federal constitution. It's pretty straightforward. First and foremost, it's pretty alarming, the fact that these books had already made their way into the curriculum and into the public school libraries without any sort of vetting system.
Right.
There has to be a vetting system, something that regulates, something that keeps the books to a certain standard, a standard that's not established by federal discretion, but a standard that's completely, unequivocally based and reflective of the Michigan legislature's intent of what's afforded to protecting our students regarding obscenity and the material within the books itself. Another matter I wanted to bring up is the school board. You have something, first and foremost, that's incredibly important. It's called fiduciary duty towards your students. Students,
so they can be
it's not even debatable.
personally.
They spend more than half their day at schools, may be involved in extracurricular activities, doing extra studies in libraries, whatever it may be. They spend over 50% of their day in school. And there's a concept called locus parentis, under a legal doctrine, that you are technically responsible in servitude of the parents' interest while they're at school.
At them.
Yeah. The fiduciary duty that you owe to these students is a duty of loyalty and duty of care. And the very issue here is to make sure that there is an independent committee that is formed and that does reflect the very protections that are granted by the state constitution under MCL 722, section 673, to the very students in making sure and ensuring that they are not exposed to early on obscenity material that may later on cause issues to their mental health or possibly other issues.
These guys are great. I'm going to videotape them as we tape them.
Lastly, I'd like to say that I'm a proud product of Dearborn Public Schools. I remember Mr. Maleko in Salina Elementary, made my way through Fortson High School. Now I'm a lawyer. And I could say that I'm very proud to have been a product of this actual school system. But the fact that it took a parent to discover that these books have been already circulating for over years within our Dearborn Public School system is highly alarming and concerning, and makes us question whether or not the Dearborn Public School Board is fit for the very duties they are voted to commit and uphold to the community itself. Thank you for your time, and I hope you keep that in mind, that it's your responsibility to provide a conducive environment, a learning environment for students, and to make sure that they're protected from the obscenity material that's actually circulating within the school system today. Thank you.
Love it. These guys are
Next
great.
speaker is
look at
Hassan
these
Shami
names.
of Dearborn would like to speak to the
Hassan Shami. Hassan. It's one of the names of the...
Good evening. My name is Hassan Shami, Dearborn resident. I ditched my speech because there's been so many wonderful brothers and sisters here that let their voices be heard. I want to speak directly to President Roxanne McDonald. Dr. Roxanne, President Roxanne, we know that if there's any issues here, somebody disturbing the peace, you need to ask the police to escort them out. That's why they did not escort the person here who was talking to the crowd for up to 2 minutes before you asked them to direct to the board. Shame on you, President Roxanne McDonald.
Oh, wow. Putting up the hypocrisy.
Roxanne, we also need to tell you that you serve this community. And we know there are some media outlets here waiting to smear the Muslim community. And you allowed that to happen because you know there was going to be a reaction between this inflammatory remarks here and the people in the crowd because how sensitive this issue is. So shame on you.
I love it. They are flipping the shame card.
To my fellow community members,
flipping it.
I'm so proud to be a part of this community with you guys. But please understand that there are people planted here to create a reaction from you for the media.
Yeah.
So be cautious, stay patient, and remain calm. And since there was a racist rant at the beginning
County.
For 3 minutes
they really underestimated
that mentioned the founding fathers in America, I also want to say that the founding fathers fought for freedom of religion. So on behalf of the Muslim community, I want to congratulate you on the birth anniversary of Prophet Muhammad, which is this week.
They didn't expect that. Now
Next
look
speaker
at those names.
is
That is
Mr.
America.
Muhammad Musa of Dearborn would like to speak to the board on books.
Musa is the name of Moses. It's the
Assalamu
Arabic
alaikum.
name of Moses. And so the response then is, wa alaikum
A
salam.
few speakers stated that they don't want Dearborn to become disunited. I don't know about you, but this looks like unity to me. My name is Muhammad Musa, and I was born and raised in Dearborn, Michigan. I attended McDonald Elementary School, Eunice Middle School, and both Dearborn and Fortson High School. As someone who has once walked the hallways of both Dearborn and Fortson High, I stand with the majority of the community members who are here today to voice their concerns about the inappropriate and sexually explicit books within our public school libraries. I've heard some people say that parents need to raise their children better, and others stated that this content can be found online. But this does not negate the fact that these books are still inside our public school libraries. A passage from one of these books states, and I quote, "I've met a variety of interesting people through sex apps. They are predominantly used for sex, though. They are sold to us as social networking apps, but we all know what they are really for," end quote. The author then continues to talk about a variety of apps that children and students could use to meet up with strangers and have sex with them. Would you want your children to read this type of book? Would you want your children to download these types of apps? Would you want your child to meet up with a stranger and have sex with them? If not, then listen to the community. Listen to the majority. Listen to the people who put you in the seats that you're currently sitting on. Don't put the books on the shelf. Thank you.
Yeah.
Next speaker is Mr. Khalil Uthman of Dearborn would like to speak to the board on explicit books in the school library.
A lot of dads coming out.
Yeah.
And of
Good
course,
evening.
you know,
First of all, thank you to all the parents. Thank you to everyone who took the time off and come over here to express their concerns. Second, we believe in democracy. The minute we voted you in here, your title changed from candidates to trustees. But apparently you broke that trust. These books that are in concerns have been in our libraries since 2019 through a SORA collection purchase via Wayne County. And this is something that we have to talk to the commissioner of Wayne County, how these purchases are taking place.
Right.
But
follow the money.
The process that Dr. Glenn Blakey proposed, apparently it's been in practice, in place before. So that process failed. That process failed to vet these books and remove them from our libraries. I'm not gonna spend a lot of time talking about libraries and the books in the libraries, but I wanna mention this process is so complicated and it's not gonna serve our community whatsoever. And if it's good, it could have been prevented these books from coming to our libraries back in 2019.
Look, and we have these community members in Fairfax County, Virginia, but their board representative
One thing that I have to
of our
highlight,
nation,
and
she's in that intersectionality.
a lot of people repeated the same thing.
accepted
This is not
this,
anti-LGBTQ.
this inappropriate material.
This is
in our
not
schools.
anti-any community. This is
She-
not
no.
anti-any
She
groups.
went.
But
She chose
apparently
her
one
own
thing that we
political
noticed
career
tonight,
over
everybody that
what
came over
many
here
people in her own community
understood
opposed.
Do you think
for
they're
the
aware
books
of this
and
material?
supporting these books to
Well,
be in
I
our
know.
libraries.
She could have made them
90%
aware,
of them
right?
are
She
teachers
could
in
have.
our
I don't
schools.
think they're. I don't
think
this is
they're
an
aware.
issue of concern. Right. Right.
The same narratives, which proves to me there is a rumor yesterday that there was a note that was sent out to them to come, our email that to come and speak about these books to be in our libraries. We are paying for their salaries. We love them. I have 5 kids, and all of them, they go to Dearborn Public Schools.
Wow.
I expect every single employee or district employee to take a stand on this, at least look at the books and see what are the sexual explicit contexts are saying. This is not about any group or any community. We are talking about porns in our schools. We stop sexualizing our kids. Thank you.
Right. Now,
Next
I will
speaker
say that
is Jamal Al-Jahmi of Dearborn.
this has to happen across the board, right? Like in all
Mm-hmm.
communities, including my Muslim community. Like we cannot hypersexualize the girls and have this kind of interpretation that they can't, for example, shake hands with a teacher that's male
Yeah, with
because
you.
it's going to be a sexual encounter. I mean, so in my own community, that's the pushback that I have given to my community, that we also have to be mindful about hypersexualization.
I
of
stand
kids.
here fascinated by what I'm watching tonight as we watch the school board construct a narrative that is completely false. Many
Yes.
people stand here and say, we want to protect our parental rights. And this is nothing about the teachers. They support the teachers, and they
Right.
say we are not opposing LGBTQ rights.
Right.
And then yet other people come up here to support
lie
the
about
books
that.
solely for the purpose of LGBTQ rights. And yet,
Well,
as a
I mean,
school board, you
that's
allowed
fine, but they
someone
want
to
to.
stand here for 3 minutes and disparage the Muslim faith. You did not stop it. You allowed another person to come here in front of the media for 3 minutes and incite the crowd. President McDonald, you did nothing to stop it.
Yeah. Hold them accountable. I love this.
On Monday,
I love this.
you shut
Parents
down
and
this
community
audience
members,
and these parents from speaking.
they canceled the
and
meeting.
some people have talked about it, and I will remind you. MCL 380.10 states it is the natural, fundamental right of parents and legal guardians to determine and direct the care, teaching, and education of their children. Fundamental right of the parent
Fundamental
to
right.
direct the teaching of their children.
Yeah. It's
The
legally
statute then says the public
protected.
schools of this state serve the needs of the pupils by cooperating with the pupils' parents and legal guardians to develop the pupils' intellectual capabilities and vocational skills. And you failed every parent in the way you violated
I
their
love it.
fundamental rights on Monday to speak and the way you've treated this issue. The fundamental rights of the parents is a huge issue right now in this country and across this state. The ability of the parents to direct to you what they want taught in these schools. And some people stand up here and say, we shouldn't ban these books because no one has ever checked them out. That doesn't mean people haven't read them or students haven't read them in school. What you're doing right now in this state, in this board, is over-sexualizing children. And you're doing it for political reasons. And you have an attorney general right now in this state, Dana Nessel, who says she wants to put a drag queen in every school. And you're allowing it to happen. I say to you, it's time to stop with the political nonsense. Thank you.
I'm reading something that
Next
there's 1,300 people at that meeting. 1,300.
Wow.
Yeah.
See?
School board just banned signs at the protest. There's signs in Arabic that were kept
Assalamu alaikum
out.
warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
A child now.
Hi, my name is Ali Shajira. I am a student of Salina School. I'm pleased to be here. I have some words and thoughts I would like to share. I hope during this meeting and future meetings there is an Arabic translator and other language translators so others can
Very
understand
good point, young
on
man.
what those meetings are about.
Very good point.
I think it's best if there is websites and other language letting others know whatever being said or decisions made by the board. I believe that instead of teaching us things that will hurt our feelings and our parents' beliefs, we should be taught subjects that we will benefit from, like technology, computer skills, languages like Arabic, Spanish, French, and other things like that. We need to learn what we will need in the future and what will build America. Parents should be told what will be given to their children, especially if it's against their religion and and not okay with Christians, Muslims, and other religious beliefs. So parents can have trust when their parents are gone for 7 hours a day.
That's good.
And lastly, please think about us. We are the children of this generation and future parents of more children. I hope our education doesn't relate to politics. Please let us live our childhood. Thank you for letting me speak.
Great. This is a really important point.
Next speaker is Mr. Wadi Azaba of Dearborn. Would like to speak
It's a book
to the
about
board on
whiteness.
books.
Assalamu alaikum ayyuhal muslimun. And good evening, members of the Board of Education. At the front end of this issue is explicit sexual material made accessible or taught to students, which is illegal in Michigan law section 722.675, titled Disseminating, Exhibiting, or Displaying Sexually Explicit Matter to Minors. Let's be very clear that at the core of this issue is an ideological battle. And it seems like, and I hope I'm mistaken in my assessment, that some members of this board have inclined towards an insane, liberal LGBT ideology that holds many fanatical views, but none so deranged as the idea that pornography is good and students should have access to pornographic material in school as part of education. And I don't accuse you of holding these stances. However, the way that you've handled it so far is somewhat doubting. The book challenging process you presented is, I'm sorry, a joke. Because any pornographic books on any sexuality, whether on homosexuality, incest, pedophilia, zoophilia, or other forms of sexual perversions, is illegal and should never been on our shelves to start with. And what's extremely upsetting is that people like Abdullah Hamoud and the lady, what's her name, Rashida or something, and the other goblins influencing them want to propagate this as an issue. Quote, he says, children having the tools to create their own future. This is pure shenanigans. Because you wouldn't allow materials on incest, zoophilia, or pedophilia for the same reason. So this is not about, quote, he says our library is serving a gateway to knowledge, imagination, and this is ridiculous. This is about where we draw the line and the moral corruption that the majority of us in Dearborn, frankly and proudly, don't accept. This is about the deliberate targeting of students. This is about the deliberate targeting of students with certain toxic, indecent content of an insane ideology that students must not be around. And the reality is, the proponents of LGBT liberal ideology here and elsewhere are fine with democracy as long as people vote for their fanatical views and as long as it supports their wicked agendas. If people vote against their views, the liberal authority blocks the democratic process and imposes the LGBT liberal positions on the populace. They are Hitler. They are the oppressors. They are radical extremists. Ladies and gentlemen, members of the Board of Education, if democracy matters, we are the majority here in Dearborn. Let us draw the boundaries on appropriateness. And I urge you not to fuel the tensions and to truly support the majority decisions of families, students, and parents in Dearborn regarding what is appropriate content to allow or teach in our schools. And as far as we're concerned, our unity here is a blessing from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And through this evil, we're able to know who to vote in or out.
Fascinating.
The next speaker is Miss Kathy Martin of Dearborn Heights.
This is a man who probably never thought he would be speaking in front of a school board, but this is unfortunately what's happening. I just read a tweet, Dearborn, Michigan votes 70% Democrat. So this is intersectionality imploding as we watch it.
Good evening.
You said
70% Democrat.
Kathy Martin, and I've worked at Dearborn
70%
for 20
Democrat.
years. As educators, one of our main roles is to advocate for students. In advocating for students, we also advocate for parental collaboration. And we want parents involved in their own education. So I'm really happy to see so many people have turned out, and I hope to see every one of my students' parents at parent-teacher conferences this year. Becoming an educator is a calling.
A little bit
if you ask most educators, many will tell you that they knew their career path at a very young age. I personally knew by the time I was in second grade.
This is
we
again
enter
a
the
false,
field knowing that we are in a lifetime commitment to young people.
Putting up. They're
we
just
were
creating a
called
straw
to
man
enter a
of
field
teachers.
where we are
This is
paid
not about
less than
teachers.
professionals with
This
the
is
same
about
level of
book
education.
selection.
We were called
these
to enter a
teachers do not
field
represent
that takes
all
us away
teachers.
from our own children so we can tend to your children. We are called to enter a
Shaming,
field
another
where we
shaming
are
tactic.
underappreciated and
Typical.
overworked.
I've heard it many times.
In addition to teaching reading, writing, math, and history, we
same
teach
playbook.
kids
They
how
all
to
come
get
the same
along,
conference.
how to solve
Yeah, they
problems,
do. Well,
and how to be
because
good citizens
basically,
in a democracy.
Ed
This
for
is a labor
Red,
of love.
Red for
We do
Ed,
this because we have been
AFT,
called to be here.
NEA,
Our career is
they
our
all get
purpose.
talking
We
points.
signed up for the good, bad, and ugly. We did
And
not
it's
sign
a
up to be
shame.
political pawns. I can't
You
stand
know-
idly by while public education is vilified for political gain.
You need to
I've
say
seen
pay
a
attention
quote
to, like,
stating that
which
students
candidates are
who are
actually
loved at
pro-parent.
home come to school to learn, and students who
Well,
aren't come to school to be loved.
I
We are
wonder,
here to teach,
you know,
love, and
why it
accept
is.
all children,
Well, we
all
can
staff,
see.
and all families.
We can see the underlying
The only way for a child to
dynamic
learn and
across
grow
the country
is to
is that
first feel
the
safe.
teachers union
And I
feel
promise
a threat
your
by
child
this
will be safe in my
criticism
presence, regardless of their background or family structure.
Public schools
Public
because
school
they
is
see
where
then
every
that
single
they're going
person who walks
to lose
in
taxpayer
feels safe and cared for.
funding.
When we
That's
are
the
safe
threat
and
that
cared
they
for,
see to their
when
base.
the kids are safe and
I
cared
don't
for,
see how they can
they will flourish and
get
grow
around this.
into
I mean, they have
happy,
to
productive
do an about face. I mean, no one's going to accept this material.
Oh, did you
And
see
people
her
are-
shirt?
Mr.
So
Muhammad
I just want to, her shirt is Red for Ed. So basically, Red for Ed, that's already been two speakers. They sent the call out to have their teachers come show up.
Oh.
Yes, some family at home, they don't
interrupt
understand English.
coming from
Because
outside.
that, I will speak Arabic, and
Oh,
I will
right.
try to translate to English. It's a family.
They should have had a translator.
Laughing. It's not funny.
Wow, they were
I
laughing
have
at
a couple
him?
questions for you. Mr. Hassan, you speaking Arabic. Adil, you speaking Arabic. You can translate to him later. Maybe because we need that.
They should have translators there.
نحتاج أولا
They
إلى
should.
قانون يجرب تدريس الكتب هذه في المدارس. لماذا المدارس؟ لماذا المدارس؟ تمام؟ وما الهدف منها حتى تستهدف بالكتب؟ هل اكتملت المكتبات بالكتب المفيدة حتى تضيف كتب مخلة وغير عقلانية؟ وهل في قانون يحدد العمر لقراءة هذه الكتب؟ الأهالي يحتاجون يحافظوا على أولادهم. هل تفكرون بمشاعر أبنائنا أولاً وبناتنا والأهالي؟ هل تفكرون بقلق الأهالي عند ذهابهم إلى المدارس؟ أبناء وبنات يدرس الأبناء في المنازل ويعلم في المنازل على شيء، وأنتم تريدوا أن تعلمهم على الفساد، وهذا لا يتطابق وقد يسبب مشاكل عند الأبناء واضطرابات في التعليم. هل تدعمكم أو ترشيكم بعض المؤسسات حتى تبيعوا أبناء الجالية؟ إذا كان شراءكم بالمال تبيعوا، فنحن نعرف لمن نصوت. أخواني أخواتي في الداخل وخلف الشاشات، نحن عاصرنا هذه الفئة الذي أمامنا، فلا تضحوا بأبنائكم لكي يفوز شخص سواء كان من الحزب الديمقراطي أو الحزب الجمهوري حتى تدرسوه جيدا، لأن فوز شخص قد يخسركم خسارة أبنائكم كامل. فاختاروا الشخص المناسب في المكان المناسب. أولادنا كأمريكيين، أمريكيين بيض وسود وعرب، كلنا ضد هذا الكتب. والسلام عليكم.
And where's the translator, right? What a culturally responsive community.
Is Mr. Hamid Fadl?
You know, I'm glad that he chose to speak in his mother tongue, because they would have used his inability to properly express himself against him and make him seem and misrepresent his speech as they've done earlier.
Right, this is exactly what they do.
On community support and of
what they
Dearborn.
need to do is have translators, right? But they don't.
They do.
Because they don't value these participants.
Brandy Ahmed. I'm a resident here in Dearborn, and I have 3 children here in the Dearborn School District. I'd like to start off, I'd like to thank you all for sitting up here and taking the heat and the criticism. It takes a very thick skin to do that, so thank you. I appreciate that.
Thick skin.
I'd like to thank our mayor, Mr. Abdullah Hamoud, who has made it very clear that no matter what, he will protect books at all costs, and every book will remain in our libraries here in the city of Dearborn. So thank you for that. I'm not going to really speak too much about the book banning here within the school district. What I really want to focus on is a lot of our LGBTQ members in our community, including students, are watching. And, you know, a lot of people are saying, we're not making it about them. We're not trying to reject them. We're not canceling them out. But we've had people stand up here and say, I am a gay person, and you hear the boos, and you hear some of the explicits, and it's heartbreaking. You cannot say that it is not about that. So
this is all on
really,
camera.
my
That's on
message
tape.
today, and I'm going to read it.
Right.
Also, I'd like to give a shout out to our Dearborn High School
intolerance
marching
is not
band who got
acceptable.
all
We know
ones
that.
this
We
week
know
in
that.
festival. So let's recognize
We accept
that as a
that.
positive
And we have
here in our
protections in
district.
society against intolerance. You know, we have protections
My
in our
message and
schools.
comment today is for the LGBT community and students.
And the
Like
community
I
has
said,
been
many
clear
have said
that
that
this
this
is
isn't
not
about them. But
anti-gay.
seeing signs like leave your dirty books in the closet and other hateful remarks that have been made here and online, and I say we as a community because we are a community. We have all the local news stations here. We have national reporters here. They look at us as we, Dearborn, one community. So I will say we when I am speaking in regards to all of us. We clearly are still witnessing and displaying dehumanizing behaviors of hate and unacceptance. Some are loud and proud, and some are just outright mean. And then we have some that are really trying to look at both sides and listen. I have a family with multiple LGBTQ members in it. And we are proud of that, but I've watched a lot of people struggle, and I've watched people that I love struggle.
I think
and
it's
to the
so
point of
unfair
suicide.
to,
It is devastating. And so what I want to say to our
shame
LGBT
people
community members
with
who are
the
listening,
well-being
to the
of
students who are listening
children,
and watching this, you are
as if
seen.
they
You are
have to
important.
have
You
porn
matter.
in order
You
to
have
be
worth.
healthy.
I know.
That's just
you listening to that, you're right. For the well-being of children,
Yeah.
they're arguing that they have to have porn in schools, that they have to,
right.
You know that, and
Right.
it's
It's a
something that-
necessary component to growing up healthy as a youth in America. That
Yeah, and that's
mind-boggling.
That's just so and it's so insulting. Really, it's insulting to those parents of those kids and those kids.
More specifically, I am non-binary and I use they, them pronouns. While this is a huge part of my overall identity and I'm very proud to be queer and transgender, it is not my entire identity. When you are young, it is incredibly difficult to be unable to put names
So
to what you're
obviously,
feeling and
the parents
experiencing.
need to
It was only very
quiet
recently
down
I was able to put the name to the cold, lonely, and isolating feeling I get as gender dysphoria. Had I been aware of the books and
that
resources
kind of
available to
hostility is
students
not
in the
appropriate.
libraries, I have
No.
no doubt I would have had an easier time accepting myself and relating
Please
to others in
allow
the
the
world.
speaker to speak.
Being LGBTQ plus is not a choice, and it is so hard to have your mind stuck in a body you feel isn't your own while
So,
people hate you for the
because
very
this is-
thing
I've
out of
seen
your
this
control.
happen, and if
People who
parents
don't know the
don't
first thing about you,
control
only that you're
themselves
different from
and
them,
their
so you
own,
must be evil.
Impulse
I honestly
control,
don't want to be
then
here, but I know what it's like
it's
to
not
have
a
been
good look,
queer and
and
trans student
obviously it doesn't help the argument.
found a way
So
to deal with the blatant
any
transphobic
genuine
faces of
intolerance has to go.
my peers and staff members,
Yeah.
even though I still deal with it on a daily basis. I
Because
refuse to let other
otherwise,
children be
you know,
traumatized in
you're
the same
feeding
way
the
I was.
argument of
I need
the
to
other
fight for the
side
queer and
that
transgender kids because
yours
I
is
was
an
one of them and I
intolerant
didn't have
position.
anyone in the system fighting for me. I'm 19 and I'm so tired I feel it in my bones, but I will not give in to the hatred. We are here, we are queer, and we're not going anywhere. LGBTQ plus people will keep existing in the world whether or not you want to erase our existences. And if you take these books out of schools where children are sent to learn, you are aiding and endangering LGBTQ
what is on
youth
issue
lives.
here.
I stand firm in what I believe, and I will not back down.
She said if you get rid of these books, you're endangering LGBTQ children. That is just insane.
Books are banned. The only
This is not books where it doesn't. You can have
And
books
that you
with
want to,
LGBTQ
and that you want to erase their existence.
and to erase their existence. No one's making the argument of not having books that are LGBTQ with characters in them. No one's made that argument.
You aren't protecting your children.
But they create a straw man
Thank you
in
for
order
your
to
comments.
have
Next
something that
speaker
you
is
can
Abdul
actually
Nasser
win in
Najjar
as an
of
argument.
Dearborn would like to speak to the board on book selection.
While we're waiting for that speaker, I just want to say one thing real quickly. We are all human up here. We're doing the best we can. We make mistakes. Please understand that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh,
Assalamu
he's
alaikum
human, but
warahmatullahi
then
wabarakatuh. First of all, I want to...
You took that job for a reason.
Right.
We are here for this. We are here for our kids. And when I say selection book, I didn't say banning books. So we are here to select the right books for our kids. We're not here to just ban any book for no reason. There are reasons to remove these books from the shelves. And you guys have to understand the fact that it's your responsibility to do that. Not mine, not them. We're here because you guys failed to do that. You're talking about revising a process. It's been there for years, but why we're here? The process has failed. You don't need to enhance that process. Get rid of that process, come up with a complete new process. That's for the parents. When you say, oh, we revise that process, this is going to be good. No, we all know that this is a trash. You're just now trying to calm the parents with this nonsense talking.
Right. So,
we are now
this
targeting
is what parents face everywhere.
And I'm talking about myself, that I'm not targeting any group. I was sent by my family here to get education because they know back home, U.S. has the best education in the world.
Right.
Education.
This is the story that I was telling.
Science, physics, math, to enhance the brain of the kids.
These are families that came here
They
for
did not
education.
send me to look to some books. Like, I can't say because when I discuss with my daughter, she's gonna have to ask me, Dad, why these books are on the shelf for us? How can I justify that to her?
Right.
You guys are parents.
There's no educational value.
And I know you guys taking a lot of heat
book.
for that. I know it's your job, but it's a lot of heat because now it's becoming a national issue. But please, do not undermine any parents. It is not your job to undermine parents. Your job is listen to them.
That's right. That's right. Don't undermine, don't
And
demonize.
The last thing I want to say, it feels sad to me that we are up against teachers. No, we're not.
Right, exactly.
Who's trying to put up the parents against teachers?
We love
That's
teachers.
stupid. My mom is a teacher. She is now principal. She's a teacher for 30 or 40 years. And I respect teachers. So I feel bad when all the teachers coming up here is just trying to defend and then point at parents. We work together.
Right. And they're not teachers, they're teacher activists. We love teachers.
Next speaker is Jamal Hayafi of Dearborn would like to speak to the board on books.
Good evening, board. I think after
I am just so proud of these people for being so strong.
What else can we say? The board today sent an email and they basically admitted or confirmed that such material should not be included in our school media center. And they also stated the law number, MCL Act 33, section, until the end. So you believe in that, okay, and you send it to us. And you heard the parents, the majority of the parents, saying that we don't want these books. So you stated and reminded us of the law. You heard the parents. Tomorrow morning, start moving these books from the libraries. Start working. That's it. That's what we need from you.
Yeah.
Okay? Now, last Monday, some of you talked about the opt-out form. I looked at the opt-out form. It's either my kids should be banned from all the books, and that's unrealistic, or I should state the title and the author of the book that they should not check. So I should do your job and check more than 500,000 books to do that?
Right.
Does that make sense? That doesn't make any sense. You know, why don't you classify these books and move them out? Move them out.
Yeah.
This is very clear from what we heard. This is not a religious matter. It's not against a group. It's not against the teachers. Okay? This is us. Loyal to our kids. Not to the right and not to the left. Not to any political party. We're not here for a political issue. But we will remember your names when August and November of every year comes. I will remember your names every August and every November comes. If this matter is not solved, then I'll make sure, you know, my vote's not for you, and I will be active for that. Thank you.
I will remember your
Next
name.
speaker is Christina Camaro, No City. Would like to speak to the board on how this harms the community and loyalty of what school board is to the community.
Yes, thank you for having me. And I speak here in support of many of my good friends from the city of Dearborn, also with parents, and I'm speaking as a parent and as an educator. As an educator, I have seen throughout our school system how our students are struggling to read. They're struggling to do math.
Exactly.
Our students come to school for college and career readiness.
Right. Exactly. And what they're doing is diverting time
Kids do
and
not
resources.
come to school. And back up, parents do not send their kids to school to explore
right.
their sexuality. That is not why people send their children to school.
Exactly.
And also, we as a society have to love and be kind to everybody. Absolutely.
Agreed.
All of us,
Agreed.
even
Common
many
sense.
of us who stand in agreement on this issue of parents'
It's common
rights
sense,
disagree on
exactly,
certain
Harry.
issues. But it is a false narrative that parents who do not want their children exposed to graphic sex acts somehow hate somebody. That is nonsense.
Exactly. It's a false narrative, and it's a straw man that they've created.
And when I look at what
to
our kids
demonize
are
parents.
exposed to in the media, the last thing they need to do at school is learn how to sexually pleasure themselves.
Exactly.
Also, I haven't heard the comment made recently, but many of the speakers here disparage the parents here as though they're being held captive by some right-wing agenda. Like the parents in this room are too stupid, too ignorant to come to their own conclusions, like they don't have their own set of morality to not want their kids exposed to this content.
Yeah. We're just dumb immigrants, you know? Dumb Muslim immigrants.
I'm speaking as a parent. We, the parents of America, are tired of
We,
the
the
schools
parents.
turning into social and political machines instead of
Love it.
institutions of higher learning. As we're watching the students of America slip behind on a global scale to compete academically, this is not the time for more sexualization. And also, parents have a right to determine what their kids
do.
are exposed to. I think it is
That's right.
absolutely unacceptable for people in education to think that they know what's best for somebody else's child. God gave me my child, not the school district.
That's
and I
right.
guarantee
It's
you
a
that every
divine-
parent agrees. And every
That's right.
parent
It's a
has a
divine
right to
role we
object to the things their kids are being exposed to. But there is a breaking point. And the breaking point is this. The fundamental existence of school is not to learn about sexual pleasure, not to learn about new sex acts. The fundamental purpose of school is to prepare our kids to be successful adults who can go off and have careers. And it is up to every parent to then teach their kids morality. It is out of the place for the school to do it, and I reject any notion that parents here are filled with hate or bigotry. The parents don't want their kids sexualized. If other people want to sexualize their kids, that's their business, not our.
Woohoo! Preach it.
Since we got involved in all this, almost 2 years ago now, that theme keeps coming to my mind, in that I'm just staggered that such an obvious point has to be made over and over and over, or that it's somehow controversial, and as you say, Harry, needs to be debated. I don't understand. I really don't get it.
Nowhere in the room of adults someone says this isn't a good idea to do.
Teachers and parents, if I could, nice to lower the temperature a little bit.
To demonize
as we
us.
talk about this.
Demonize
I'm very
us.
thankful for this city and for the schools. My kids graduated from schools here, and I now have grandchildren in the school. 2 of my children are educators, although not in this city, and we need education. It's very, very important. And teachers have a really big job to do, and it's already been mentioned. Look at all the subjects that have to be taught and learned well. Reading, writing, arithmetic, science, technology,
Exactly.
and the art of getting along with other people. That's very, very important. And as this lady very well said, it's not about teaching them sexuality. That's not really
Right.
the duty of the schools. And so the teachers shouldn't be made to be responsible to teach sexuality. They're not authorized to do it, and they're not actually able to do it. And so let's keep that out of the
That's really
schools.
true. Like, they are not
Some educators and
professional
education boards
sexologists, you know?
mistakenly think it's their duty to
Aaron,
raise
you and
other
I have
people's
talked about
children,
that. Like, these
especially when it
teachers
comes to sexuality and gender identity.
People talking
In
about
some
such
cities,
powerful,
schools are even
important
doing things that the
psychological
parents
issues
don't
are
agree
not
to
equipped.
and don't know about. When the children come to school,
They're not.
they're helping the child dress in a different way according to a different sex, take on a different identity when they're at school, and then change back when they go home. Now, God forbid that that should happen here, but it's happening in real cities, in real schools in America, and teachers mistakenly think it's their job to do that. And they're not, it's not their job, and they're not helping children, and they're not really doing the responsibility that we've authorized them to do, although some
Right.
people think so. Now, my daughter and her husband are both teachers. They have 2 little boys, my grandsons. They love their children very much. We love them, and they love their students. But they know the difference between their students and their children. And yet they can say,
Yes,
these are my
exactly.
kids, and they mean these are my students, and they care for them, and they
Right.
love them. And when they say these are my kids, and they're their children, they love them. But there's a difference. They send those children back to their parents, and they're not undermining the parents' tutelage and the parents' raising of them. So I just think this is a fundamental idea. I know it's like I've been in a time machine back in 1995 in another city, very similar to this. This kind of thing went on, and it's only gotten worse. So we really need to rethink this whole thing. It is not the responsibility of the school boards and the teachers to raise children in issues of sexuality. Thank you.
I tell you, I mean, these
Next
folks
speaker
are
is
so
Abdullah
brave.
Ahmed of Dearborn. Would like to speak to the board on pushing sexual ideology on teens and preteens. Abdullah Ahmed.
Oh my gosh, these guys are so
Either side would work.
so relentless, and that's how you have to be as a parent. You have
Assalamu
to be
alaikum.
relentless.
Yes.
Wa
And for
alaikum
anyone who
salam.
does not speak Arabic,
they
this
picked
means
a
may
fight.
peace be upon you. Keyword peace. Don't misconstrue our religion and culture. We are here for peace of mind. My name is Abdullah Ahmed, and I grew up in Dearborn schools and lived in
The
Dearborn my
word
whole life.
we know.
I
peace
think
of
I can
mind
say
is
on behalf of the
sukoon.
majority of our community that we don't care whether the pornographic photos and erotic speech are homosexual, lesbian, or straight. If there is pornography in any books available to kids and teens, we want that out, gay or not. And to one person earlier saying that porn in books is the American way, keep that phony American way in your home, not in our communities. Parents have responsibilities and try to upbring their children in the best way
I know.
possible. And they send their kids to school, which is supposed to be a safe haven. Come to find out, these books in schools are teaching kids that to make decisions they are not capable of making. You aren't their parents. And if parents want to show this kind of disgusting material to their kids, that is their choice to be made at home, not at school.
Very true.
Nobody
Very
is perfect,
true.
and everybody makes mistakes. But mistakes are
Well, we should add that if an adult does do that,
They get
chances
arrested.
are they're going to get arrested, right? That disparity is just
That's a good
astonishing
point.
to me,
That's
right?
a very good point.
But that's a
right.
point that seems to be lost on a lot of people. Why
Right.
is it okay for the schools to do this? I don't get it.
Right.
Next
You're right.
speaker is Shadi Maori of Dearborn. Would like to speak to the board about the current situation.
About the current situation. That's a nice way of putting it.
Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Good evening. First and foremost, I'd like to ask everyone to just hold the clapping till the end, just for all the speakers in general. I'd like to offer you guys a student perspective from my opinion, as I'm not a parent, but I am a former graduate of Dearborn Public Schools. And actually, this was my middle school, Stout. Being here just brings back so many memories. Aside the point, the reason why many of us are here today isn't about censorship. As Americans living in this country, we're well aware of the First Amendment, the freedom of speech, religion, expression. We're here to talk about the explicit sexual content in certain books in Dearborn Public Schools.
What are you going to say about them?
Children
These are rational,
are at school for
reasonable people.
almost about 8 hours a day, which is practically half their day, not counting the time that they're asleep. So I would say that a school is a child's second home, besides from their actual home. This is where children are taught. That's where they grow up. And as a student, growing up in Dearborn Public Schools, I was never exposed to this type of sexuality. I took two sex ed classes, once in 5th grade and another in 7th grade. But it was like pretty much straightforward. Talked about safe sex, HIV, etc.
Exactly.
But to find out, to hear that there are certain books in a
Yeah,
school community
sexuality.
which I'm prideful to call home is honestly disappointing. And to the school board, I hope you guys can see where the community is coming from. This isn't an attack to you guys directly or to the teachers.
Again.
Because we are well aware of all the hard work that you guys all do.
Kinks, fantasies,
This is
and
just about
porn.
the sexualization of
A
children,
book
the exposing
in the school
of
system.
children to this type of content. We are aware that this content is on the internet and everywhere, but we're talking about just these books specifically. This isn't an attack to the LGBTQ community or anyone in particular. Like I said, this is America. It's a free country. Thank you, everyone.
Next speaker is Adam
Miller
the
Bond.
name, it's not as clear, but I think it's Miller Bond. Would like to speak of Dearborn. Would like to speak to the board on the review and removal of books from the school libraries.
You know,
Adam
Harry, don't you feel
Miller
so happy to watch parents just have their voice?
Absolutely. Seeing about 60 speakers, and the majority of them are parents that are rising up from across different communities, seeing the same threat to their
Mr. Ali
children,
Sindi?
and that we all agree that this is a danger. This is a threat to our kids.
Parent rights
And you know, we're
to
connecting
vote
the dots. You know, we are talking to each other. Like you cannot. Our school system has, you know, hundreds of school districts in states, and then
Next
thousands in the
speaker
country.
is
And
Jarallah
we're not allowing ourselves to get isolated. You know, we're comparing notes with parents. Like, you know how it is, Harry. We talk to parents all over the country. And it's, but because we compare notes that we know this book exists, you know, and then this book exists, and then they have I Am Jazz telling parents that they are making the wrong decision about their kids' genders, you know. The Austin
We can tell them
parents.
that
They
you're
took
right,
on. Remember, we
parents
talked to the
have
Austin
to
parents.
ease.
Call me Matt.
and I am from Woodworth Middle School, and I am in the 6th grade.
It's a kid.
These books are influencing us youth in a negative way. These books are unacceptable and inappropriate for people of all ages, let alone the youngsters. Their presence alone in the library affecting the youth of this community, making the library an uncomfortable, disgraceful, and unethical place to be. These unethical books do not benefit.
They want to hear
do
from
not
the
benefit
children.
us in developing
They-
a stronger character with integrity and honest, although they do the opposite. What is the senatorial? The library to you. The senatorial library to me is a respected place in a sanctuary to better myself.
Right.
These unethical books are mostly in our library And most of us students go to the library as a safe haven.
Can you imagine?
And just
this
knowing
is a
that these
child-
books are in our environment is disturbing.
It's very sad.
And we students do not feel comfortable in the library knowing these pedophilia-like books are present in the heart of our community. What can we replace these meaningless books with? We can replace these books with positive and beneficial books we can actually learn from and positively influenced and educated by. We cannot let these books affect the youth of our community. We are not anti-Semitic nor hateful people towards any group of people. We respectfully request the board to remove these books from the library and end this crisis, and that's a right.
Next
They want to hear from the kids, they claim.
is Muhsin
Yeah,
Hawaishi of Dearborn Heights.
that was
Would
excellent.
like to address the board on the issue of
Libraries
the
should
topic.
be safe places for children to
They were
explore.
chanting.
I mean, I remember
I
when
love
I was a
library.
child. Yeah, I love going to the library.
Next
Being able to look
speaker
through
is Rawan Haidar of Dearborn. Would like to speak to the board on parental
Rawan
ban of
Haidar.
books.
Rawan Haidar. So that child, is reflecting an important reality, which is that they want their innocence. And that's really important. So, Rawan.
It's a long day for the school board hearing this over and over again. Hopefully they get the message.
And it's funny that they don't allow the kids
Can
to speak
give us
first,
just a moment.
right? So
She can't, the microphone isn't working. Give us just a moment. Try it again, please.
Oh, the mic is not working.
So
Can you try
know
the other
what?
mic, please?
So they got two mics set up, right mic, left mic. There you go. Camera swings over.
Better?
Hey, it's
Yes,
remarkable
thank you.
they're at least showing the faces of
Good
the
evening.
speakers,
My name
right?
is Rawan
which our
Haidar.
school
I'm a
board
third-year
has
law
done.
student at Michigan State University,
I
a
think
Lebanese
they did
Muslim
this because
American,
the school board
and I have been a proud resident.
probably
of
never
Dearborn for
expected
25
this
years.
community
Before
to
I
become
began, I
aware
wonder
of
for
this.
those
Just
listening
like-
and
They did
present,
not-
what I'm
Just
speaking
like us.
about today may be triggering for some.
Yeah.
16
This
to
caught them
19 years
completely
old.
by surprise.
That is the age range when
And
most young girls are in high
because you know
school
what'll
or
happen
just
next?
starting
They're going to
college.
they'll limit
This
the
also
time,
happens to
they'll
be
limit
the
the number
age
of
range in which
participants.
females are
And you're right,
4
they probably
times more
will
likely
not
than
show
the
their
general
face.
population to be victims of sexual assault, attempted rape, or even rape itself. 16 to 19. This also happens to be the major topic of the novels Push and The Lovely Bones, which are two books that are currently under review. How about another one? It is estimated that every 1 in 6 individuals identifies as being a part of the LGBTQ+ community. That means for every classroom of 30 students, there are 5 of those students who are part of the community. The novels
again
This
that
Book is
false-
Gay and All Boys Aren't Blue, which are also currently
narrative.
under review, gives real-life
Boys
insight and a
Aren't Blue.
breakdown of what it means to grow up not identifying as a straight individual.
Oh, wow.
These books have been deemed pornographic, against good Muslim values, or as being set out to carry on some sort of homosexual agenda. Many
All
parents
Boys
here
Aren't Blue
tonight are
has a
under the
7-page
assumption that the
description
only
of the
resolution
sexual
is to
attack
ban them.
between
However,
minors.
the First Amendment is not dead.
In graphic
The
detail.
truth is that the
7 pages.
statistics that I have discussed here do not exempt the Dearborn community. As strong and as united as this community has proved itself to be, there are still young females amongst us and throughout our own community who are suffering or have suffered at the hands of their abusers. And despite the strong religious presence within this community, that does not take away the fact that there are still young adults out here in the Dearborn public school system who are struggling to come to terms with their sexuality. For better or for worse,
This is of
books are
course
the gateway
true.
to independent, critical thought, imagination, and understanding of differing experiences. And to force a ban on books that will 100% benefit students who identify and resonate with the themes we've talked about tonight is an act of selfishness and intolerance. I understand that not every parent is okay with their child being exposed, but the board and its media specialists have taken the time to curate a wonderful, equitable mechanism that adheres to both state and federal law and gives parents precisely what they want, right? So why has this become public news? Why are we here today? Our chief police was not mistaken on Monday when he said the eyes of the nation are on us. What have we shown the
That's
nation?
why.
We have shown
Up
that
on
we
the
as a
screen.
minority
That's
population
why.
of primarily
Yeah.
Middle
I
Eastern
don't
Muslim Americans
understand,
have
again,
forgotten our
what
own
the
struggle
issue is.
with hatred,
Why are
discrimination,
we here?
prejudice, and violence.
That's why.
We have forgotten the signs that were held up against us, the isolation, the pain and fear we have all felt because those harming us couldn't take a step back to see what
to see who we were as people. I urge the Dearborn community to please reflect on this when they pull up the signs.
Harry, you know that I came into
Next
this
speaker is
conversation
Ihab
very mindful. There's another image.
Madhawi
Very
of Dearborn
mindful
would
that
like
I
to
won't
speak for the
accept
board on
intolerance.
child ed.
I talked to you about that, but this community has attempted very clearly to say that this is not about their lack of acceptance about the LGBTQ community. And of course, all the
absolutely.
kids
Several
should be
times.
affirmed, you know? And of course, in immigrant communities where we don't have open homosexuality because it's a crime punishable by death, there's gonna have to be
Hello, thank you.
Education in
I'd like to
among
talk a bit
parents,
about some
perhaps,
books.
but it's not going to
I
happen
think everyone
through like
is familiar with
pornographic
Romeo and
books.
Juliet. Well, in Act 3, Scene 5, there's an underage sex that happens in Romeo and Juliet. But that book is not on the ban list.
Oh, that's
Why?
a false equivalency.
Oh my gosh.
Because it's not.
We're talking
yeah,
about books of literary
that's why.
value. They are, and it's not.
There's
because
another
it's
book called The Diary of Anne Frank, where she talks
Oh.
about how
This is like
her
a
thoughts on sex and
straw man
sexuality.
again.
And while she was hiding from the Nazis.
I just wanted to show
That
we
book
can just
is not on the
speak
ban
over him
list
for a second.
because it's
Yeah.
This is the book that I was showing earlier. It's called Not My Idea. a
Oh,
book about
yes, not my
whiteness.
idea.
Yeah,
That's an excellent one.
And
Yeah,
it's-
you share that.
It's just that, you know, it's a issue about, it's a book about race, where they have unfortunately this narrative of victimhood that Sam was talking about earlier, and they say in this message, whiteness is a bad deal, contract binding you to whiteness, you get stolen land, stolen riches. But what's really important is that this book, Critical Race Theory, that I've got back here, was phenomena that brought racial issues to the forefront of this activism. But then what we got was this movement called queer theory, which is not just about being affirmative to LGBTQ community in as adults, but and also as children, but then like bringing in a lot of this pornographic material. And how does that all connect? Is that there is this message. Look at that message at the very end of this book, Not My Idea. It says, "Innocence is overrated." And so there you see that image then that Sam has put up of a young man who is hating his own body and has this piercing, sword through his body. And it's ultimately this stealing of innocence, in the most violent of ways that people are opposed to.
Right. And to
We
this young
want-
man
So,
speaking,
stop
apparently
being
that's an
afraid of these
equivalency to Romeo and Juliet.
I don't know.
Right.
Maybe
I-
talk to
right.
kids
Again,
about them, read
staggering.
with them, give them context.
Yeah.
Try something like
And the
that.
Diary
I
of Anne
find it-
Frank as well.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean,
And finally,
Why do you need
I find-
context for this?
Right.
I lost my train of thought. Applause makes me
Yeah, 'cause
uncomfortable. So good night.
Well,
Our
the
last
applause and
person,
booing.
comment would be like, I call Amar El-Rahi to the stage.
Please, may
Al-Nahi.
we have quiet?
They can't even say names right.
And I apologize to the folks out there watching that I'm
Oh,
doing
let's
this
watch
and
Amar. Let's watch Amar.
These
I want to see Amar.
Yeah, let me pull her up.
American citizen, born and raised in Dearborn, Michigan. I can confidently say that never in my life did I ever think that I would have to question our state's ability to protect our kids. As an educator, I will not condone such reckless and dangerous actions taken upon by the Board of Education. When was it okay to enforce inappropriate sexual content on our children? If books about weaponry and violence are banned from libraries in order to prevent premature damage on impressionable kids, how are books with content that could easily be considered pornography any less dangerous? Guns kill people and porn kills brains. The damage is quite slyer, but no less influential. But in the United States of America, kids that are 17 and younger, orphans are mandated by court to live in foster homes, and because of that, they aren't old enough to be independent, to work for themselves, to pay for themselves, and to even think for themselves. So I asked the Board of Education, since children are seemingly old enough to read or look at such promiscuous content, why can't they live independently? Drink what they want, smoke what they want? There's a reason they can't, and that's because they are impressionable bodies given to us as a trust from God to nurture and grow into human beings in our great American society. But not only are children incredibly impressionable, they can be extremely impulsive. The decisions they make are always factored by the friends they have, the shows they watch, and the books they read. And of course, I must say,
well, why don't they put alcoholic drinks in the vending machines in the schools?
That's not my intention.
I mean, right? If anything goes and they can make such adult decisions, then let them do it.
What I can say though is that we seem to care a little too much. Are we that wimpy that we deny facts in order to safeguard feelings? Have emotions overcome the world to such an extent that they've seeped into politics into a way that are laws for enforcing me to accept delusion and gender dysphoria? But it seems we're fighting the masses. Schools are more fit to teach our kids about forms of sexuality than the things that would actually contribute to their education. But according to the School of Board, these books are imperative into the development of our children. And our kids can have a gateway to imagination and a gateway to knowledge. Am I right, Mayor? These are your words, but I'm certain you would take them back if you understood it's vile and has its consequences. And before I go, I must say to the people behind me, thank you for showing up, because regardless of why you're here for the sake of our kids. So please, after this meeting, ask your children what they are learning in school. They need your help as much as the states. Let's become more involved in our kiddos' lives and hopefully gain more connections in their districts and community. Our kids are our future and they need all the help they can get. Thank you for your time and attention.
There you go.
Fabulous.
That was
And
fantastic.
what is one of the books that they're protesting? This book, right? Flamer.
Flamer, I know.
And, with the cutting. The cutting, as an
it's just incredible.
That's not healthy.
No.
Now, Asra, as the one young man said, context is important. What is the context of that scene? Are they actually demonstrating how to do it? What is the...
A lot of these stories are, the very difficult stories that, yes, children go through. Like I went through it, as an immigrant kid in this country, of your sexuality and your identity. And in this story, the cutting ends up becoming like the self-harm that this child ends up experiencing and going through and putting themselves through. But it's ultimately not a normative that we want to support, right? Like self-harm is not something that we want to show as part of a storyline that we then depict also in such a visual way. We want to lead the children to healthy lives. And I don't think creating those images, just like the controversy about the Netflix series on suicide, putting those kinds of images and thoughts in the minds of kids can be very dangerous.
Very much so.
I went ahead.
I asked them,
guys, I'm sorry. I went ahead and rewound this. There's somebody from the board is speaking now. I'd like to hear this.
You rewound it?
Yeah, I just went back to the beginning of her talking.
Mustafa Al-Morsi, I worry for my future children, even as a 23-year-old, and what the school board will expose my children to in the future. Next, from Dearborn, Mohammed Mare, I don't want my kids to learn about sex. Next, Rebecca.
Okay, I thought she was giving a statement. She's reading other people's
No, but it's
statements.
interesting what they do, because it's interesting to see sometimes what different school boards do, right? Like this one actually reads aloud the statements that they get.
It looks like somebody said that they
Next,
take
from Amar
emailed
Beydoun from Dearborn,
submissions.
Right. Like we don't do that in Fairfax County.
Please remove all explicit
well,
sexual books.
I think they'll probably stop doing this after today. I mean, this is not good. Right. This is not good. I mean, this really shows just how parents really think about it. Like, and just getting lit up. I mean, they will probably follow the suit of Fairfax and Loudoun and limit parent participation. And that'll give rise to programs such as this one with shadow boards, where you can just you can have comment and provide the forums for parents to actually have community. But this is impressive. This parents and citizens of Dearborn coming together 1,300 strong and just and just laying into them.
Yeah, when you called and said, "Hey, you want to get on the shadow board tonight?" I said yes, because this is how I would spend my Thursday night anyway. I would be sitting on my sofa, with my cat nearby and watching, because this is politics in action. I've been to enough protests in Washington, D.C., and the chant always is about democracy, right? And how the activists are democracy in action. And that's what parents are. And unfortunately, we are up against this machine of the teachers unions. And unfortunately, in too many school districts, the local Democratic Party that wants to demonize us, to shut us up, because we end up becoming so persuasive and strong. Like, that's what is such a threat to them. We're motivated.
Another threat, and this is for the parents at Dearborn, if you're listening to us, your school board members likely can't meet, by themselves in cases more than two without actually having to call an official meeting, which should be open to the public. So I would recommend that you have somebody within your community maintain a presence in their work sessions, that they may have delayed with what they may video. They may not videotape them, but have a retiree. If you have somebody who has the time to actually go to the work sessions, because this is where all of these bad ideas come to, this is where they discuss it. This is where they plot and they scheme, and they develop them, and they're going to agree to vote on the next school board meeting.
Yeah.
So that is
and
important,
videotape
to maintain
them.
a presence.
And videotape them.
I would like to just actually, because this is something we haven't said through the whole show, Asra, you're hitting it right on the head. We are the media. We have the capability. Everybody out there has the capability and the technology right at their fingertips to be able to do what it is that we're doing tonight. And it's that accountability. It's that lifting of the veil. It's that if there's nowhere to hide anymore, so they're forced to deal directly with parents and people and concerned citizens who are saying, you know what, enough is enough is enough. We see the hijinks. We see what's going on. The mechanisms are clear as a bell. And this media platform right here, Harry, you offered this up to people around the country to come on like we're doing now in Dearborn. I'm in Charlotte. They're up in Dearborn. You guys are in Fairfax, Virginia. So if you want to get hold of us and have us partner with you to do what we're doing in your neck of the woods and set up a local shadow board, contact us. That would be our honor to help.
And let them know how they can contact you, Sam. How do they
you can go to usanow.tv. There's a contact form right there, and usanowtelevision@gmail.com.
Perfect. Great.
And bring it. And
what
bring
are they
in a
doing
group
now?
Of parents. And we can actually talk about some of the strategy and tactics that they typically
she's still reading.
Deploy.
From Johnny Williams.
Yeah, she is still reading.
That's great. So you were saying, Harry, that we can compare notes on the strategies that we use, right?
Just like with TJ, we had to compare notes with those parents up in Toronto, in Eanes, Texas, in San Francisco, and Boston. I mean, a lot of these are national strategies and that are being pushed down by special interest groups. And we do have to arm ourselves, parents, because we all have jobs during the day. But they actually have a cadre of professional activists that this is all they do. And
but what they forget is that we are full-time parents. This is not a gig for us. And when our kids graduate or move schools or leave your public school system, they are going to be tucking their heads to bed at night under our roofs. So it is really a battle that is futile on the part of these activists. They will claim some innocent children, and that is a tragedy, but ultimately they will not win in trying to claim America, because the parents will never go anywhere. We will never surrender our role.
And they are coming after our kids. I mean, out here in Fairfax, they have a concept. They have it in DC, where they have community schools where they're actually trying and advocating for kids to stay in hotels away from their parents. They are legitimately trying to set conditions to move kids further and further away from their families and their base of support.
Yeah.
And what do we call
Harry,
that? Yes.
It's the nanny state then. I mean, that is a kind way of putting it, right?
It's it's
And
kind of
that
weird,
we,
but it's also brainwashing, right? You're
yeah,
removing the person away from their family, and you're repetitively putting in a narrative or a message into them without any critical thought, a dogma, so to speak. You are indoctrinating a child, and in this case, with
yeah.
this explicit material, they are pushing sexual boundaries of children, and they're making them, and they're creating. I mean, they're contributing one to the delinquency of a minor. Here in Fairfax County, they even encourage students that were confused that if their parents were supportive of their confusion, that they would help them run away. They would give them money and put them up in hotels, or not in hotels, but with a queer affirming adult. I mean, this is
And
the this.
they warned
I'm
that, alas, the adult may be white, was what they were
Alas,
saying. And
exactly.
yeah, but I want to say one of the reasons why they mentioned that is because in this instance, it's an organization called Pride Liberation Project. And what Harry's talking about is a resource guide that they provided on this platform called Discord, in which the children were told that if they were feeling unsafe in their home, they'd get at least a couple $100, and they could raise money through
Yes.
GoFundMe, and the cash would be all theirs. Something like every child would want.
And they would send emails from that wouldn't appear that it was from their group, that the
Right.
parent. I mean, and they would help hide them from their parents.
And
Now,
why did they
I
say that
think
the adult would likely be white? Is because a lot of the kids that they are targeting are from my South Asian community, and we
yes,
are a very, we're a very traditional community. I had definitely a lot of issues trying to assimilate in the United States with very socially conservative parents, more socially conservative than I was when I was growing up. But at the end of the day, and of course, I as a child wanted to keep secrets from my parents, but I am with my parents today, and they are with me in love because we grew together. And that is the best way for a child to grow up in and bring parents in to any kind of space that needs to, like that they may not be at because of their own cultural upbringing or whatever. But you don't have this assumption of criminality on the part of the parents.
and that's their justification, their pretext is that
Yeah.
there's an
Yeah.
assumption of criticality. They'll say not all parents will be accepting if their child wants to be
Right.
gender fluid or if they want to experiment with their sexuality, because they're pushing this content on the kids to confuse them. Of course, parents are
Yeah.
going to want to be focused on that, and they want their kids to focus on learning. We already have the COVID learning, the gap loss of COVID learning loss in ESSER funds, which unfortunately, in a lot of different school districts, when they give ESSER funds, they don't even provide oversight of how each school uses those funds.
So the ESSER
Oh, absolutely.
funds, just to explain, is the elementary school and secondary school program that has provided millions and billions of dollars to school districts. And you can see right now on the agenda items, it's about the approval of this award and that award, because school districts are multi-billion-dollar enterprises across this country. The school board in Fairfax County, Virginia, governs a $3 billion budget, which is like one of the largest budgets in the state of Virginia. So if you can imagine, we have to not only, read the books, but follow the money, because what is at stake are politicians that are controlling not only big contracts with the purchase of these books, but behind me also I have the diversity consultant contracts, $20,000 for an hour to a activist author named Ibram Kendi here in Fairfax County Public Schools. And the gender theory issue is also being put forward by activists. I
Just
wanted to
hold on.
give
Let's
one
clarify.
example.
It was $20,000 via a 40-minute lecture via Zoom. Is how much he was paid.
Zoom.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, he
Yes.
didn't even
Let's go
show
to
up.
Gender Unicorn.
I just wanted to show this is it's going to be hard to read right there, but it is from an organization called the Trans
We can see
Student
it fine. So go ahead and hold it
Okay,
up.
great.
Yeah.
Trans Student Educational Resources. And this is an organization that was started by this young activist named Ellie. I was on the Dr. Phil show with this activist and very proudly, bragged about creating this poster that has gone to school districts all around the country. It's a free downloadable PDF, and what they do is they introduce children to these questions through the beautiful image of the unicorn on where does the child fit in terms of gender identity, gender expression, sex assigned at birth, who the child is physically attracted to versus who the child is emotionally attracted to. And you can see the options: feminine, masculine, other, female, male, other, intersex. Well, I went to my local Target and I got a little unicorn just to remind us about this innocent creature, right? That a child would cuddle up with. That child is not going to be able to answer these questions. And to try to introduce these ideas to children means that you're introducing sexually inappropriate ideas. And that is what the FBI has identified as grooming. So
I mean, this
we
is
have to
like
be
Joe
really
the
clear why that word is used.
this is worse than Joe the Camel. Remember that when you had the cigarettes
Oh,
back in
yeah.
the 80s? And the
This,
uproar it had, and this is just that on steroids.
right.
To confuse children.
This is very much, and Joe the Camel and, the whole vaping industry, like they have had to be held responsible for their irresponsible marketing to children. And when I confronted this activist about this poster, the audience
We
was with
have
me.
somebody live there.
Oh, great.
Let me get him and bring him
Wonderful.
in. Hold on.
Okay, great.
Hey man, can
Hi
you hear
there.
us?
How are you?
Hold on, let me
Hey,
get him
sir,
set
how
up.
are you?
doing?
There
Oh,
he
doing
is. We
fantastic.
got you. Cash, why don't you take a minute and introduce yourself, please?
Yeah. Tell us your
My
name.
name is Hassan Ayun. Hold on. My name is Hassan
Okay, wait,
Ayun.
hold. Yeah, just stay still for a second. Oh no, we lost.
Yeah.
Oh no, we lost him. Hold on.
There he
I
is.
got
Try
a lot of
to
people
try to
over here
stay in the
telling me
frame.
thank you for today. You know, I'm kind of busy. I got my body cam if you guys want to see it, just to protect myself.
Oh, excellent. So
Good
tell us
idea. That's a
first,
very good idea.
first give us context on yourself. So tell us your name again.
My name is Hassan Ayun. They call me AKA Has Cash, spelled HASS, and Cash is CASH.
All right, and then tell us, like, how did you immigrate to the U.S. or did your parents or who? Tell us your story.
My parents immigrated to the U.S. and I was born and raised here. You know, I was born in
And
Dearborn.
where did they immigrate from?
Uh, my dad came
From
here
where?
in 1974. 1974, my dad came. My mom came in 78. Independence Day, actually, my mom got here.
Oh, wonderful. And where did they both come from?
Lebanon.
Excellent. Love Lebanon. Love Lebanon. And Lebanon is I'm from India. My name's Asra.
Would you mind if I got people that want to take pictures with me? Would you mind if I take a picture with them for 1 second?
Oh yeah, of
sure.
course.
Go ahead. Yeah,
Let
go
us
ahead.
let us
I got
watch
it.
you while you're taking a picture. Go ahead.
Okay.
Hey, Cash, just go ahead and leave the
Yes.
live feed open. Just stay on, and I'll mute you. I'll see
Listen,
you in the
I'm gonna
background.
give me like half hour. I'm gonna go inside my car.
Oh no,
We'll
not a
talk
half
inside
an
my
hour.
car.
No. We're good. I'm saying I'm just gonna mute you. Leave the feed going.
Wait, we don't want to wait half an hour.
And we want to talk to people.
Okay, how long are you gonna give me? So let me take. A lot of people want to take pictures with me. I'm very sorry. You know, I just can't tell people no. I'm live.
Well, give them your phone and let them talk to us.
All right, hold on. Let's just talk to you for 1 minute. Okay, come back to us for 1 minute, okay? Are you there?
I think we lost him.
Okay. All right, just
He's
tell us.
okay.
So your family came from Lebanon. You grew up in the States. You are there to protect the innocence of children. How do you feel, and how do you feel tonight went?
I feel that maybe we got to them today. There's a lot of people. I did not expect this much people, to be honest with you guys. And I told them the first thing, I was the first one that they called. And I was surprised. I was like, wow. You know, when I was called first, I was like, okay, let's see what's going on. And I told them, you guys are doing the same thing, but they did in West Virginia. That's the first thing, you know, I got a phone call today.
It was Virginia.
It's Virginia. It's where we are. Harry and me.
Oh, I'm sorry. I said Virginia. Maybe I said.
Yep, it's
But
okay.
you know what? Okay,
we
messed up. You know, I'm sorry. So I said Virginia, and they're like, okay, 1, 2, 3, and I'm like, you guys are doing the same thing. You guys, this is what really got me mad. I call, when I called when I reached out to the gentleman that told me to reach out to him today. He told me there's gonna be what's those things when you walk in?
Metal detectors.
Metal detectors. So there was metal detectors today, and I was surprised. I was like, yeah, he's right. They're doing the same thing
That
now.
was me.
Yeah,
Cash,
it was you.
Cash, let me ask you, my friend. When you went through the police lines there, the police security, how were your folks treated? And did they do the body scanning with the wand and any frisking that took place here
No
in
frisking.
Loudoun
No,
County?
no. There was no. There were. To be honest with you, I walked in with my body cam. Nobody frisked me. It just goes off if there's guns or weapon or something of that nature.
Okay.
So, Cash, you
It's
know
like
that
My
you
bad.
know that
It's like
parents.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, you know that parents have been targeted by the Department of Justice and called domestic terrorists. And being Muslim myself, we've confronted this label upon our Muslim community. So how do you find this irony now where you are parent activists, considered a threat to the school board?
Basically, the first thing I'm gonna be honest with you. When I came here, I brought my body cam. I felt like, I was a police target today. But when the way I'm gonna address when the chief see me, he said hi to me. He goes, "Listen, man, I got nothing against you or anything, but but the thing is, the school board called my name first. And the reason they called my name first is because I'm the one they said, oh, I caused the chaos. I said, there wasn't no chaos. I said, Roxanne McDonald was the one that caused the chaos. She's disrespectful, the way she talks. You guys you watched the whole live probably. When
We
she
did.
let
Yeah,
the
we
guy
did.
talk
We listened to all of it.
the guy was talking for 3 minutes, and then she didn't say nothing to him. Then Hashemi comes up and he tore it up to her. He goes, "You let this guy talk, and you and you didn't say nothing to him. But if it was us, you want to sit there and say with disrespect? How is that? I'm not understanding. See, I don't know.
Were you surprised that we saw you in the background listening to some of the other speakers? Were you surprised by some of the outside activists that came in and spoke at the board meeting?
Yeah, because listen, this is about the children. It's not about the gays and not about the lesbians. It's not about anything. This is about the books. We don't want it there, and they're making a big deal about it. And I'm getting sick of it. You just can't do that to people. You know what I'm saying? You can't just sit there and say this about this about that.
And I think it was really important that your speakers also clearly said that this is not about any kind of intolerance against the LGBTQ community. This is about inappropriate material for children.
Yes, I said if you guys want materials and your kids are gay, get materials off Amazon. Get materials off YouTube. We don't want access to that crap. It's that simple. People don't understand this. This is not about the lesbians. It's not. You got some guy running right now for office. It's the best thing for him to run for office because the attorney general is lesbian. Just to tell you guys, she agrees with the books. The governor agrees with the books. So how are you going to sit there and justify this?
Yeah.
Well,
Go ahead, Harry.
Oh no, I was just mentioning before, like these books and materials, if you were out on the street and giving it to minors, you would be arrested. I mean, an adult would be arrested for giving that type of material.
I will get arrested for pornography, what's it called, and this and that. No, it's very sad, it's very sick.
So what's your we know that you're really popular there, but my last question is just what is your guys' feeling about being labeled right-wingers and white supremacists and all these other slurs thrown your way?
I've got called a terrorist. I got called, what's it called? I had some guy inbox me. My son passed, God rest his soul, from an overdose. He goes, yeah, God took your son away. You're a piece of shit. You're this, you're that. I've got it all. I just don't listen to it. I just, it makes me stronger. I'm not gonna let nobody disrespect me. You disrespect me, you know what? I'm just gonna laugh at you and just walk the other way. I'm gonna protect the children.
On that issue of respect, did you not notice that there was a common trend of activists, the people that were speaking for the books that were attacking you? Did you notice, there's only one person in that entire audience of a person of color did you feel like they were condescending and trying to almost like shame your community in some way or some way, shape, or form?
Yeah, listen. There's a lot of people that like the lady that said, "Oh, my son's gay." Okay, your son's gay, but there's a lot of kids that are not gay. How are we gonna accept this? Here's the thing: what I'm scared of that's gonna happen. I'm gonna be honest. As a person, I'm thinking that these books are access to danger. Why? Because you got a lot of pedophiles over here. Imagine these books are okay, and then some guy comes and says, "Hey, I got better books," and a guy is a sex offender or a person that preys on kids. I don't want this. It can cause a prey to kids. That's what
Yeah.
these books are.
Yeah.
That's
Well,
what I'm scared of.
we
They're afraid to
we
kids.
like yeah, we read from this book, which is another book in our school systems in Virginia, to Let's Talk About It. And it literally tells kids to go on the internet to find people who are like-minded with the fetish that they've got. And it teaches them how to, it teaches them how to send their pornographic pictures on the internet, but concealing their identity. So it gives them tips.
And it's this book right here, Let's Talk About It, that provides that type of material. And there's other books that are also concerning. Like there's, for example, Seeing Gender, which promotes girls to consider going into prostitution as a viable career path.
Wow, that
was in middle school libraries, and
that was in middle school libraries to tell girls how to become
and yes, to say that they said that sex work is work, and they said they can make up to $500,000 a year doing it.
Here's another book.
Got another book.
I've got this one, Gay BCs, and this is literally teaching the preschool kids that
I'm gonna be honest with you. You guys got it bad down there in Virginia, huh?
Yeah, but it's coming your way. You guys put a stop to it. Tonight.
Yeah,
it was impressive.
You had over 1,000. You had over 1,000 people there. It was remarkable.
Over 1,000 people. I indicated
1,800, I think.
3 and 6. Yeah, give and take, we had about 50. The school only allowed 1,500. The door shut at 1,500.
Right. Okay.
Wow, that is impressive.
So what? Let's ask you. Okay, let me just ask you this too, because we're going to have parents watching all over the country. What is it that you'd like parents to do to support you all? Like, would you like them to write also to the Dearborn Public Schools?
Yeah, but like, if the people around the world can write to Dearborn Public Schools that these books are prohibited and they should be taken off the shelf, I would really appreciate that.
Okay, great.
Absolutely. So for those of you that are watching, write to the Dearborn Public School. They're listed on the, I don't know if you can bring up the website of who we can address it to all school board members. Maybe we can post the email addresses, encourage our audience to write to the school board and to protect children. I mean, these books are explicit. They have no literary value, and they're the corrupt the minds of minors.
And do you even have a
You know what's the bad part about this whole situation? That Rashida Tlaib, that runs for Congress, the lady that runs for Congress, she agrees to the books.
Yeah,
she wrote a statement. She agrees to the book.
Well, what is happening? What we talked about is basically, unfortunately, politicians like her have come into this intersectional alliance with these far left activists, and it's really a betrayal of the values of the communities that they represent.
Yeah, you're right about that 100%.
Yeah, I was surprised when you named her, but you did name her.
Okay, and I got it's like the. Well, I'm gonna tell you what's it called? The Attorney General. She's lesbian, and she agrees with the books. It's because listen. all these people that came down here today, okay, it's either lesbian or gay or whatever, they want to sit there and say that these books are okay, children need them. No, children don't need them. When you're 18 years old, I don't care what you do. But my child, I'm going to raise them. I'm the one that brought up to this world. I'm the one that feeds them. I'm the one that gives them money. I'm the one that changes his diaper. His mom's the one that fed him the milk.
Absolutely. And one thing you should notice out that all of those activists, I'm sorry, all those activists that were arguing for the books, they never argued or reviewed the content of the books themselves. They only said that they're endangering who they are as an identity. In fact, we did a show before. We revealed that a lot of these activists, they were paid activists, they never even read the material. And when exposed to that material, and I've been around the country with everyone who wants to argue with me, from the right, not from the right, but even the left and far left, when they see the material, they realize, oh, I didn't know I was arguing for that. And they changed their tune.
Because I think the point was made by one of the speakers that, this material is not appropriate whether it's gay or straight. Ultimately, we don't want this hypersexualization of children as minors. That's the bottom line.
Oh, yeah. And it's not.
Guys, I
Absolutely.
want to pause you for just a second because I just got a text from another gentleman on the ground up there, and I wanted to throw this in. You're talking about the hypersexualization, Harry. You've used this word over and over and over and over and over. Grooming. The federal government defines grooming, which is technically called enticement, as a method used by offenders that involves building trust with the child and the adults around the child in an effort to gain access to time alone with them. All right, so I've got somebody coming in.
So we didn't get. Do we get to say bye to Cash?
Do we get to say bye to Cash?
Cash is still here.
Okay.
He's still here.
Great. Okay,
yeah, I just wanted to throw that out. So, Cash, hang in there with us. Hold on a second. I'm going to try to bring somebody else.
Or do you feel like you need to go?
Yeah. Do you need to get going?
I need to walk out. I'm not going to be. I could go to my car and come back in because they want to close the building. I don't want to be rude.
No, that's fine. I think we're good, man.
Guy. The chief of police at Dearborn is a very good guy. I like him, and I'm just saying, I got to follow the rules for the chief.
It's no worries. It's been a long day for everybody.
Well,
thank you so much. And you
with us, you got police to protect us, It's okay.
Well, you did it. We would love to follow up with you to see what happens next with the school board. How do they react, seeing overwhelming community outrage over this?
That's what I want to know. What are they going to react after this? I bet you they're going to sit there and say, oh, we're going to put the committee and this and that. Same thing happened with you guys. They're going to try to shut us down for a little bit. Next thing you know, they're going to sit there and tell us.
Reduce the number of public speakers.
Do you know?
I
did have a question. I had a question. Do you know by any chance what the political affiliation is of the board members? Like how many are Democrat and how many are Republican?
I'm not sure about that. I have.
Okay, but that's it's important that you don't know the answer.
Very important. Yeah, I don't know the answer. I'm not gonna lie.
But the fact that you don't know the answer reflects, though, that this is not politically driven on your part. Also, you don't even know what the party affiliations are.
To be honest with you, there's a lot of Democrats. There's not a lot of Republicans in Michigan.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna say what's it called. I didn't do my research because I don't usually I don't even vote for these people because I already know these people never helped us. They always sit there and turn us down. And this time, I hope we sent the message to them to take these books off. And I will update you guys, and I'll tell you the info at the end.
Would you consider arranging a recall of them?
Yeah.
Because that is an option.
Hold on. Look what we have. We got Mike Cashman right here. Hold on. Mike.
Hello, Americans. Hello.
Yes. Hi, how are you? Welcome.
Good. How's it going?
Would you introduce yourself to the world?
Yes, my name is Mike Hashem. First of all, I'm an American, I'm a Muslim, and I'm an Arab from Dearborn, Michigan.
And who in your family immigrated to the U.S.?
My late father immigrated to the U.S. After my great-grandfather was here in the 50s. He went back to Lebanon and lived there after he worked here for several years. And then my dad later on immigrated along with my family.
And he came here for the fact that we have great schools here, we have opportunity.
Absolutely. He came here wanting to build a family, to build a family on American values, faith, family, and freedom.
Wonderful.
Great.
And then
Excellent.
tell us how you feel about tonight's.
Tonight was a victory. Tonight we had all kinds of people show up, especially from the Muslim community. You got to know something about Dearborn. Dearborn has one of the largest Muslim populations in North America. All eyes are watching Dearborn. And something you have to know is that Muslims and Arabs in Dearborn are proud Americans. We value the freedom that we left our countries to come to a better country and to strive for success.
And this hypersexualization and sexualization of children, as one of the moms put it, is not what you send kids to school to learn.
Absolutely. We send our kids to school to do better in their academics, in science, math, reading. We do not send our kids to school to be sexualized and to rethink of what gender they are.
I think most parents in America agree with you.
Yeah, most parents in America agree with you. And yet, how do you feel about the fact that they have so demonized you, even in the community, to the point of calling you white supremacists?
Well, we had some politicians here that are running for office and that are currently holding positions of office that have Islamophobic views on Muslims, especially in the community that they're running in. This is no longer white supremacy. This is no longer hatred all over the U.S. coming into Dearborn. This is hatred from within Dearborn, from our elected officials against the residents of Dearborn that are of the Muslim faith.
Yeah, it was shocking to me how patronizing they were to the community. You know, people who have learned English as a second language in many cases, right?
Absolutely.
And you know, and people who have never probably gone to a school board meeting, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So we
had so much
had one
courage.
parent. We had one parent actually speak in Arabic
Yes, we
to
heard.
address the
we
school
saw
board.
it. Yes.
That was pretty substantial that a parent would speak in their native language with all the bigotry, with all the hate that that person may have faced. He stood firm and stood tall and spoke his native language to get his point across. And we all have to respect that because he's here in America, the land of the free, that all of us strive to do better in. And this parent is struggling and trying for his kids to live in a better nation.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really beautiful.
It was an amazing evening. I mean, seeing all the speakers that came out in support. Was this your first school board meeting tonight?
No, absolutely not.
Okay.
No, absolutely not. I was one of actually the first people to spark this this movement that's happening here in Dearborn. We sparked it locally. A lot of people want to say that we have outside influence. We're funded by Moms for Liberty. We're funded by the GOP. We're funded by right-wing extremist groups. Like when they can't find anything else to say, that's what they'll run to and use it against you. But tonight we defied all obstacles and we showed them who we are.
Yeah. Well, welcome to the club because, you know, we haven't met before, but Harry and I have been fighting in Northern Virginia because they came after the fact that our #1 high school, Thomas Jefferson High School for Science and Technology, had 70% Asian students. And so like my family immigrated from India as a Muslim. And as a Muslim, I grew up in this country loving our public schools and our teachers. And then all of a sudden we were told that we, the Asian families, had privilege and that we were resource hoarders. And so, and that we were GOP funded and MAGA and QAnon parents. And the one lesson we learned from a dad in New York was to be unapologetic. And that's what I was so inspired to see, that you guys, because we come from a shame culture, right? Like, people can shame us, but you were unapologetic, all of your parents. You would not allow them to shame you. That was phenomenal.
And on point this evening as well. I mean, you made it very clear it was not against anything about the LGBTQI plus community. It was about protecting your children against explicit material that would be considered that would be illegal if you were an adult giving this to children out in the street. You would be arrested for it.
Hey, I'd like to jump in real quick and thank you again, echoing my hosts here as well. And if you have anybody around you that would like to jump in and give us their thoughts, please feel free to do so. I would like to say regarding the funding, Asra, VA Program 666 on YouTube user VA Program 666 says paid activist. That pretty much describes Harry and Asra exactly. By the way, so just so you know that VA Program Satan user. Oh, I'm sorry. Program 666.
Oh, I see. I didn't know what you were referring to. Oh.
A YouTube user.
Oh, I see.
So if anybody else around you wants to jump in the show, please feel free.
So I got another parent right here, right next to me, that was with us today and stood in solidarity, and his name is Al Sadawi, owner of Buffex Customs here in Dearborn, Michigan, a business owner, a son of Iraqi and Lebanese immigrants. That's the next person you guys could speak.
Oh, wow. Great.
Yeah, we'd love to have
what's going on, guys?
Hey, how are you?
Hello,
great
evening.
to see you. I'm just going to go get my phone charger real quick, and I'm going to be right back. Harry, I'll talk to you.
Okay, great. Back. Well, hello. Yes, can you go back to him? I was going to say, introduction. Tell us about himself. Are you also an immigrant, a family of immigrants? Can you hear me?
So, I can hear you guys. Can you hear me?
We can hear you loud and clear.
Perfect. So I'm a son of first-generation immigrants from two different Arab countries, Iraqi and Lebanese. You know what I mean?
Yes, absolutely.
And I grew to be thankfully, thank God, I became a business owner in the city that I grew up in. So I decided, you know what, I want to keep my kids in the city, but with everything just going on, I just how do I explain? I'm sorry, I'm not really good at this, speaking out loud.
That's okay. We're just chatting. Just say we're chatting. So my name's Asra, and I live in Northern Virginia, as does Harry, and we've been parent activists here, like battling the school board. And we felt like it was our school board dynamic where they are rude to you and patronizing. But you guys were so brave, you were unrelenting. Did you feel that?
Yeah, I felt that the energy was definitely there. I feel like the parents really all came together. As a community, we all came together, And by the way, they switched the location of the meeting the day before. So a lot of people didn't even know that the location was switched. A lot of people still showed up to that first.
Oh, wow.
So
where was the first location?
It was Fortson High School. So it was on Dearborn's East End. Now we're on Dearborn's West End. And we still had amazing turnout.
Is that like on the other side of? Is that the other side of town? Is that far away from where was actually?
How far is it? Yeah.
How far is that?
It's 15 minutes away from the location now, but it's not that. It's just everyone is originally in their head. They're thinking the meeting's over there. So even with a day notice, we still had over 1,500 parents, teachers, students come out.
What? Can I just ask, how old are you?
Me, I'm 24.
And so did you say you have kids?
No, I don't have kids. My younger brothers and sisters. I think I take care of my younger brothers and sisters, legal guardian wise.
Okay.
Oh my goodness. Okay. But so that's remarkable.
So
and
that is amazing.
And I think you said your parents came here, right?
Yes.
And then were you born here?
Yes, I was born here. Born in Dearborn, Michigan.
Yeah.
Born and raised.
So I think like I came to this country when I was 4. I'm much older than you are, but the dynamics were the same where I had to learn this country, as you did, I'm sure. And I had to translate it for my parents, as I'm sure you did on many things, including these social ideas. And we wanted to keep secrets from our parents, right? That's what kids do.
Yeah.
But the thing is, ultimately, and I'm sure like there are social norms in this country that were new to your parents, right? That you had to talk to them about. But
Yeah, of course.
why? Yeah, but what is it, where is it that you believe that these school board members and with these books, like I have one of the books that you guys talked about, this book, Flamer. What is that line that somebody talked about, the red line? What is the line that they have crossed here?
They crossed the line as soon as they said, you know what, it's okay to have these gay books and these porn books and these kind of books. Nothing is wrong with being gay. Nothing is wrong with being lesbian. You know what I mean? If to each their own. But someone said that was very powerful in there. The reason we send our kids to school is for them to become educated, not for them to find out their sexuality. You know what I mean? The reason parents and guardians send kids to school is so they can become educated, find a career, go to college. They shouldn't be sitting there and trying to teach them about their sexuality. If they want to figure out their sexuality, they can figure it out at home. But schools is somewhere where parents should feel safe and happy to send their kids.
Absolutely. I mean,
you
and
as
it's
a
not just.
guardian, I was just going to say, you've learned how it is that they're able to now keep secrets from the parents and guardians about children's gender pronouns and even which bathroom they want to attend. That, as a guardian, that must really scare you, right? That the school system can keep a secret from you.
100%, because back when, and I didn't go to school that long ago. I'm 24 years old. I'm only out of school 6 years. Back around my time, it was not like this. 6 years ago, it was nothing like it.
Yes.
It was nothing. Now every year I hear there's something new. People are figuring out their sexuality. Men can use a woman's bathroom but that's just a completely different subject. We could talk on and on and on about this.
I think we could. And it's not just the books in the LGBTQ. There's books that are straight. We were just mentioning before, like Seeing Gender, that promotes prostitution for young girls. That's made it in the middle school libraries out here in Fairfax, or even Let's Talk About It, which encourages kids to talk to strangers about pornography and teaching them how to send sexting photos to one another. Things that parents are trying to protect their children from. And it's being pushed by a lot of these progressive activists. Were you surprised by the activists that you saw come from out of town and that spoke tonight? Did that surprise you? Was that a shock?
Some and some. For example, we had a lot of people not from Dearborn that were supporting us to say, yes, remove those books. People from the city of Melvindale, people from the city of Lincoln Park were coming out because this already made headlines in our city. The first meeting being on Monday, and Mr. Haas Cash, he speaks very passionately about the topic. You know what I mean? So it made news headlines. So people from other cities that felt the same way as us wanted to come and support us. Mr. Mike was a very advocate. He's very advocate about the topic. And so I feel like we had a lot of people come from other cities. And
the whole nation's watching Dearborn tonight. The whole nation's watching.
Yeah. So
and how do you feel like that? Go ahead. Oh,
no, I was just going to say we had.
Yeah. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was saying there was a lot of support, but then we had other people from other cities coming and trying to say we're doing something wrong in our school district by feeling this way, by saying take off the books. We should be.
Yes.
So that really had me baffled.
Yeah, that's what, I thought it was really interesting that, you all called out Rashida Tlaib in the very first speech, right? Because that activism has said that you're supposed to honor the lived experience of people and that you're supposed to also be culturally sensitive to communities and especially minority communities. And yet watching these hours of the response by the school board and the people who opposed you, I felt like we were reliving our own trauma in our school boards where they just treat us like dirt. You know, they don't respect us. And I felt the same way about your guys' your points of view, that you weren't being respected.
But yes, totally agree. But the thing is, most of the people here were at a mutual understanding. If we don't have change, we will recall those in charge. We will recall them. We will vote them out. We will get rid of them. You know what I mean? That's the only way. You know, we put them there to look after what the community wants as a community. And when the whole community wants the same thing, or the majority of the community wants the same thing, they should be going with the majority. It's basic democracy.
In fact, in San Francisco, the parents in San Francisco got rid of the school board members when they discriminated against Asians. Just as the school boards.
If I could jump in real quick, I am curious about this. We've heard talk about recall. On the ground there, are you aware of any official effort to put forth a recall effort? I think he dropped.
I think he did.
Oh, shoot.
Because I heard somebody mentioned that papers were drawn up or filed.
Hello?
It's Cash.
Yeah, hey there.
He's back. Cash, I was just asking the young man that was on, we had another guest on, and he had made mention recall. I heard the word recall a few times, and I'm curious, is there an actual recall effort, an official recall effort for any of the board members being pushed there?
I think if they, you're talking about if they, Roxanne McDonald, we want her out. We want her pushed out. I ain't gonna lie to you.
And tell us who she is. Tell us who she is again.
She's the president of the board.
Yeah, and so she's the one.
She was the one that did nothing when you had other activists trying to incite your supporters and.
Yeah, what she did at one time. You know what she did at one time? The girl, when I got up, when I started saying, "You guys want to sit there and not turn the clock on," and she's talking, I got offended by that. The clock was on, it was not running, and she was talking about us. Like, you made her talk about us, and she's getting more time. I said, "What are you doing? The clock is not running."
Right.
That's what really I got.
Right.
Yeah.
And then,
you're right.
And then Brian Stone wants to sit there and talk about me. Like, come on, man. And you came in my face like this, and I got up and same thing.
Tell us who Brian Stone is.
Yeah, Brian Stone is a gay guy. He wants to sit there and say that we're after the gay people. We're not.
Right.
People just have to understand. They want us to look bad. They want the books there. That's all.
Yeah. And you know what I was telling Harry that they're going to do, because English is second language to a lot of the community. And I told him earlier that when even my father, it's happened for him, like we use the word the. Sometimes like al is used in front of Arabic words. And so when they're going to take things like the gay and claim that, they're being anti-gay, because in English, they usually don't put the in front of it, but then they'll say, look, see, they're just singling us out, and trying to, they'll manipulate the fact that this is an immigrant community too, that's speaking about topics that are new to them also in some ways. Like, you're not a activist on this issue, but and that's not going to be fair. But what I appreciate is that you guys are not allowing it to silence you.
No, I'm an activist when it comes to from right and wrong. Like, basically, I will make a protest when something's wrong. Last time what happened is we protested because of.
They said the restroom was here. Wow, that's boy.
Last time I protested. I'm sorry about that. Last time I protested.
What Asra had mentioned earlier before with what we've seen out in Fairfax, and we even saw tonight, to a point, you have people who is English as a second language, where activists will seize upon words and to misrepresent what the parent was trying to articulate. That's why I was really impressed with the one individual that spoke in his mother tongue. I mean, this really shows that if that school board was all about diversity and equity, they would have had a translator there. If this school board was all about diversity, inclusion, equity, they would have made the effort to properly pronounce the names of their constituents as they were coming up to speak, and they made very little effort to do that. And I was just it's just an observation, but a lot of those people that were speaking tonight in opposition to your group, they didn't have children in the school system. We just lost them.
Oh no,
They
no,
didn't
he's
have
back.
children. Yeah, they didn't have children in the school system, and not only that, but they weren't even a part of your community. Like who? I mean, did that feel like just like an over? That just seemed. Did the arrogance seem just amazing at that point? That you'd have people from another community without kids in your school system to try to say that you guys are wrong for wanting to protect your kids.
I'm outside. They told us we have to leave.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
I'll see you, buddy.
Did you get a picture?
Yeah.
So
Wow,
if
Oh,
you
yeah,
want to,
I'll see you guys. I'm sorry, guys.
I don't
A
think
lot of people like
you
me. I'm
guys
sorry.
have
I'm famous.
no, it's good. Is there a way that people can contact you or your
Yes.
community, like?
You can. Listen. Anybody can contact me through email. You got my email aoun1980@aol.com, or they can contact you and you can contact me. You can put your info.
Okay.
But listen, you know what I'm trying to do, to be honest with you guys? If there's like a school board around my area or anywhere that's not far from me, I'll drive down there if they have the same situation so we can address it the same way we addressed it over here. Because,
Yeah, I
it's
think.
getting, like you said, what'd you say? I'm
And
sorry.
what I was telling Harry is that when the dads show up, you know that there's trouble because they come when it's like things have gone too far. So we've got dads now activated like Harry, and we definitely think that it's time for that activation to spread. So I think it's great what you're considering doing.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Live
Maybe we need to
TV
make
as we have it.
Maybe we need
Live
to make
TV.
a caravan up to Michigan, guys.
Well, Cash, we'd love to follow up with you to see what the school board does. Did they take this? Did they take tonight
Right.
seriously? Did they take that even after changing the location of the school board meeting, that they still had over 1,500 people show up? They still had over 50 people speak against these books. They still had letter after letter after letter of parents expressing their concern, and they're literally on nationwide media. Do you think they got the message? And I'd love to follow up with you to see, did they get the memo?
Yeah, we should do a follow-up, absolutely.
And Sam asked this question earlier, but I don't think we got an answer. Have you all actually started a recall effort or started researching how to do it?
A legal effort, yes.
I don't know if you heard us.
We were just, yeah, can you hear us okay?
Can you hear us? Oh, he's muted.
He might have got. Oh, I bet you it's on the Bluetooth on his car. Is your car
it's
Bluetooth
probably
on so that we can't hear you or anything? We just can't hear you right now.
Yeah, we can't hear you. We don't have an audio.
But
you have to turn off the Bluetooth on your phone.
But you know what this reminds me of? It reminds me of when I was talking to some moms in Oregon, and they had to all pile into their car to have a meeting because they needed to be able to protect their kids from all of this stuff that was going on. But they all I had one of my first meetings with parents there in the car. Can you hear us now? Or let's see if you could talk and we hear you. Well, this was great. It was so nice to be able to actually meet the activists on the ground there. That was just remarkable. It was really heartwarming for me. And you know, the thing is, Harry, I can imagine that people their enemies will do just like they do with all of us always, which is, try to slice and dice a word here, two words there, something that's said politically incorrectly, because it doesn't fit the quote politics of the day. But at the end of the day, these are folks who are sincerely speaking from their hearts. Not everything may not come out correctly. Everything is not a soundbite. They're not trained professional communicators, but they're just speaking from their heart. And I think that's what the local activists have said they're supposed to value, the lived experience of people.
Yes, and clearly tonight they clearly didn't. It's a good thing to see that the people across the nation, across different communities, are waking up and are taking action and positive action. I mean, it's good to see that we can all come together on a lot of these issues.
And,
Well, we've been
I mean,
on
let's face it too. It takes some serious courage to do this, because the backlash could be enormous to folks when they walk into their office tomorrow if their boss does not agree with their stance. I mean, it's getting ugly, unfortunately, and that it's that bullying tactic that we see from the very far left that is intimidating so many people from speaking up. So those 1,000+ people that showed up, kudos to you. That is the fighting American spirit that we need to see.
Well,
and my hats off to you.
That was amazing.
And I know exactly what people will jump on them about. Oh, he talked about the attorney general being lesbian, like, oh, he talked about that man being gay.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a gay guy, he said, right.
I mean, you know, because that's just how, like, an ordinary person speaks, perhaps, like, not with everything couched, but you could tell that this was a community that maybe some of them do have very, very, I don't know, puritanical, perhaps would be the non-judgmental word to use, related to the issue of the homosexuality. But at the end of the day, like, I could hear very clearly that this was not about an attack on a community, and that this was very clearly not about denying anybody their rights in America to express themselves as they wish. This was very absolutely, they definitely communicated that clearly. And you both know that I came into this skeptical. I came to this very skeptical about their own intentions and their own agenda, but hearing them speak with even a misstep here or there, I could see that they were not motivated by any kind of hate or intolerance in their hearts for a community.
That was
they were
very well
simply
said, Asra. And I want to thank you on such short notice jumping in. Guys, I have not left my computer since, I think 10 o'clock this morning. I really got a jet. So God bless you.
All right, you guys.
Thank you, Sam.
Thank you, Sam, for organizing this, and thank you to everybody who watched and will watch and will, most importantly, stand up in their communities with moral courage.
Great, thank you, Dr. Harry Jackson. You've been watching Education Matters. Thank you for joining us, and have a good night.